the information about the college.
India is a country of villages. Mahatma Gandhi used to say that development process without inclusion of rural India is unsustainable. Self-dependent and well-educated villages will make a developed India. These words of Gandhiji motivated Dr. Kumar Saptarshi, president of Bharatiya Samaj Vikas Sanshodhan Sanstha, to open a school in a small village, Khed, in Karzat Taluka of Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra.
1984 साली लोकनायक जयप्रकाश नारायण जे माझे गुरु आहेत त्यांच्या नावानं तिथे शाळा सुरू केली. त्याच्यानंतर ज्युनियर कॉलेज काढलं आणि 2001 सालापासून राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी सीनियर कॉलेज आर्ट्स कला महाविद्यालय याची स्थापना केली. ते विनाअनुदानित आहे. ग्रामीण भागात जन्म घेतला आहे म्हणून कोणी मागे पडू नये ही यामागची धारणा आहे. शिक्षणातून समाज परिवर्तन ही आमची थीम आहे आणि याच्यामधून ग्रामीण परिवर्तनाची एक दृष्टी विकसित करायची म्हणून नाव आहे संस्थेचं इंडियन इन्स्टिट्यूट फॉर सोशल डेव्हलपमेंट अँड रिसर्च. म्हणजे त्याच्यातून ज्ञानही प्राप्त व्हावं, ज्ञानाचं एक काही भांडार संचित तयार व्हावं. तर मराठीमध्ये भारतीय समाज विकास व संशोधन संस्था असं नाव आहे आणि एका व्यापक चळवळीचाच भाग म्हणून आम्ही या शैक्षणिक संकुलामध्ये शैक्षणिक उपक्रम राबवतो.
Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi College, a non-aided college started on 21st June 2001, is working day and night to provide quality education to young students of villages. 30 acres of land in Khed is a platform of many projects and educational activities started by Bharatiya Samaj Vikas Sanshodhan Sanstha. This includes Loknayak Jayaprakash Narayan School started in 1984, Loknayak Junior College and Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi College started in 2001, and Parivartan International Pre-Primary and Primary School started in 2015. The management body aims at making Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi College as an ideal for education in rural India. Building self-dependent citizens of India is the basic aim of this college, and hence management always makes an effort to provide all facilities to the students which are available to city students. This college has well-developed computer lab and e-learning facility available to the students. Computer lab is equipped with 38 computers, Wi-Fi and internet connection, Delnet to access e-journals and e-books, and a collection of various educational CDs and DVDs. Online admission system and online question papers are highlights of this lab. The college library is a magnificent and very popular place for students to work. The classrooms are equipped with projectors for digital learning. CCTV cameras monitoring all corners of the college provide extra security to the students and staff. Ladies' room for the girls, large playground, canteen, clean toilets, staff room, guest house, teachers' quarters, etc. facilities are available for use in the college. Currently, 284 students are studying in the college. A well-qualified staff includes 3 doctorate, 3 MPhil and 10 net set qualified professors. College offers Bachelor of Arts course running under Savitribai Phule, Pune University. NSS unit, Cultural Department and Sports Department organize many activities throughout the year for overall development of students. Along with this, seminars and guest lectures of eminent speakers are arranged on various social and cultural topics. The college runs many professional courses mainly to make students self-dependent. These courses include organic farming, fish culture, nursery, organic fertilizers manufacturing, mushroom cultivation, computer literacy.
Our main motto is that the education for social development. This is our emblem also. Our founder and the managing trustee, Dr. Kumar Saptarshi, has taken keen interest providing a quality education in the rural areas and to uplift the students, the poor students of this region, and to equip them in the best status, and they should become the good citizens of the nation, and to uplift the poor peoples, both for the improvement of economic and educational development of the region.
Considering the need of the 21st century, the organizing body is thinking positively to start other courses including commerce, science, information technology, and a center for competitive exams. Education contributes to the economic prosperity and social environment in a community or society. The college was started in the name of Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi, and hence we always work to make our students honest, socially aware, disciplined, and self-dependent. Along with building expansion, the college consistently maintains its tradition of results and quality. The management's thought: if we educate a boy, we educate one person. If we educate a girl, we educate a family and a whole nation, is getting widely accepted in the area and around.
आणि मुलींचं शिक्षण हीच सामाजिक परिवर्तनाची गुरुकिल्ली आहे असं सामाजिक संशोधनांती आमच्या लक्षात आलेलं आहे, आणि तेच आम्ही मग पुढे नेणार आहोत आणि एकूण नव्या पिढीला पुढे घेऊन जाणे हा प्रयत्न आहे. त्या प्रयत्नाला आम्हाला आजवर यश आलंय आणि पुढे येईल याची खात्री आहे.
Thank you, Mane sir. Mane sir, shall we start, sir?
Yes, sir, start.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Good morning, one and all. On the behalf of Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, IQAC, I am Professor Shuguru Vankar. I welcome you all, the eminent scholars, vice chancellors, keynote speakers, resource persons, participants, in this one-day multidisciplinary international conference organized by Indian Institute for Social Development and Research, Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, Khed, Taluka Karjat District, Ahmednagar, affiliated to Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune, in collaboration with University of Swabi, Khyber, Pakhtunkhwa, Department of Computer Science, Pakistan, Maharashtra Bhugolshastra, Parishad, Maharashtra, and Punjab Geographical Association, India, on the topic ecology, economy, emerging technology, and people for sustainable livelihood in SAARC countries. In the conference, we are going to discuss on the problems of livelihood of the poor in the SAARC countries, global environmental issues, world economic system, which is responsible for creating disparity and deprivation. The conference aims at finding out the solutions through meaningful discussion by the both experienced and young academicians from the countries across the world. So, without further ado, I request Dr. D.B. Salve, sir, principal of our college, to welcome the conference. Dr. D.B. Salve, sir.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Good morning. I am a Dr. Dharmendra Salve, Principal Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, Khed. I will to all the Vice Chancellor, resource person, keynote speaker, participant and student from India and in SAARC countries. I hope this international conference would be very informative and valuable for you to enhance your knowledge in this field. Once again, I welcome to all and convey my best wishes for the conference. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Jyotiram More, sir, BOS Chairman, Department of Geography, Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune, and Trustee of our college and General Secretary of Maharashtra Bhugolshastra Parishad to deliver introductory speech and welcome speech.
Okay, thank you.
I request Dr. Jyotiram More, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, all of you. Welcome in one-day multidisciplinary online international conference on ecology, economy, emerging technology, and people for sustainable livelihood in SAARC countries, organized by Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, Khed, with University of Swabi, Pakistan, and Maharashtra Bhugolshastra Parishad. In this conference, inaugural speech present here, Honorable Dr. Kumar Saptarshi. His qualification is BSc, MBBS from BJ Medical College and LLB. He is a full-time social worker. I will brief review their social work because his work is huge, that it is very difficult to present. It is in just 5 to 7 minutes here. He is under the leadership of Jayaprakash Narayan, Relief Center of Drought Victims in Gaya district, Bihar in 1967. Relief work of Koina earthquake victims, then established of IQAC in November 1967, and then May 10 to 15 in 1968, under the leadership of Baba Amte, he organized one 15 days workshop at forest of Somnath. That time 1,500 youths was there, and Dr. Saptarshi's age was only 27. Then emergency in first 3 months underground work, and then 2nd October 1957 to 26 January 1977, means near about 2 years, Misa was lodged in Eroda jail. That time his age was 36 to 38. Then 15 August 2001, acting as a rehabilitation chairman of the youth parliamentary participation in 1977, entered Janata Party under the leadership of ex-Prime Minister Chandrasekhar, and that time he was MLA from Ahmednagar city in 1978 from Janata Party. Work in rural areas, he started practice hospital in Pune in 1969 and closed in 1974, means near about only 5 years. Then because of Rasin Cummings was started in the emergency declared. Then Dr. Saptarshi has started the Indian Institute of Social Development and Research establishment of Rural Development Center on 26 acres and fallow lands for utilizing for agriculture, nursery, limbole oil distribution, rabbit rearing, crossbreeding, goat rearing, fisheries, forestry, etc. Experiments have done there. Then established of Lok Narayan De Prakash Narayan High School in 1987. Now in this high school have near about 1,000 students, and college started in 2001. He has written some vernacular language in books, Sankalp, Yatri, in one America, and Yeroda Vidyapit Divas, in days of Yeroda University. Then editing and publishing means the Satyagrahi Vichardhara magazine start in 1992, and it's a continuous going on. He has traveled in Himalaya exertion in 1965. Then he has joined the Bharat Yatra under the leadership of Chandrasekhar, study of communities in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Bihar, many places he has, and traveled to Israel, Europe, and many countries. Then Andolan, many list of Andolans, but some highlights of I have been here. The massive student protest in the city of Pune against the central government of giving the Ran of Kutch to Pakistan, and in 1968, student agitation against the increase in the fee. Then Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapit, Rahuri Krishi Vidyapit, Vice Chancellor Hatao Andolan. Then 1972 movement against Solapur Medical College capitation fee Andolan. Many types of movements and Andolans he has done. Then controversy against Shankaracharya spread all over the world 1973. Then 1973 to 1978, Ayurveda College students agitation, and these all Andolans have success. In 1973, B.Ed College students movement, Malegaon, then Agav Training College, Dhule, increase in monthly scholarship for backward students, Dalit students, and then he has in 1974 under the leadership of Marathwada Vikas Andolan, and the agitation of Rashi communes in Ahmednagar, successfully finding new methods for rural transformation, and recently the topic is related to that in our conference. May 1977, Sedgaon means Karza, the agitation to get Dalits access to Datta temple in Ahmednagar, these are also successful. These types of some important movements have been mentioned here. In various movements, Dr. Kumar Saptarshi has been arrested a total of more than 40 times. And this is my pleasure to express my views regarding Dr. Kumar Saptarshi. I thanks to organizer. Thank you very much. Vankar sir, please take charge.
But काय करायचं?
Vankar unmuted so.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Jyotiram sir, for introductory speech and welcome speech. Without any delay, I now request Honorable Dr. Kumar Saptarshi sir, for founder of our college, to deliver inaugural speech.
Good morning, everybody, academicians, dignitaries, and participants. I welcome all on behalf of my institution. It is my pleasure to have such a type of webinar which is people-centric. There are states, but states have their own compulsions and they have their own economic policies. But we are people and we are together. So this is an endeavor to establish the comradeship among people of SAARC countries. And this, I liked very much this idea. We have to search in this webinar how people to people contact and people to people cooperation may liberate us from poverty and injustice of life. We have to create a society which is just, which is based on equality and giving minimum standard of life to all the people. And this is possible. State is a perhaps hindrance sometimes. We spend money on army and such a expenditure which can be diverted to the progress of the people. And this work, we should go on doing it, saying it, and having a pressure on our own governments to spend more on people and stop fighting with each other. It's a needless thing, and we have to save the globe and the humanity, our fellow members. And this is possible. That is very important. So all the academicians, they should think not only on the basis of economy and geography. We have to focus on people of these 7 countries. We have too much similarities among us. Our history, we share. Our culture, we share. And still we are poor. That is a commonality. So we have to overcome our own handicaps, social handicaps, and based on equality, fraternity, freedom, we have to create a just society. And I am sure that in this webinar, all the academicians and participants will try to find a solution in these countries in spite of state policies. State policies is a major hindrance. Why we fight with Pakistan? We were same. We share one history, and environmentally, our wind systems are same. Our river systems are joined to each other. Why we are separate? Only because of politics. So we have to overcome these hindrances, and I'm sure that we will do it. And I give best wishes to this webinar. Thank you. And
Thank you.
I declare that this webinar has been inaugurated.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Kumar Saptarshi, sir, for wonderful and informative speech. Due to some preoccupied words, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Nitin Karmakar, sir, could not join the conference, but he has conveyed best wishes to the conference and moral support to us. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Now, I request our colleague in Pakistan, Dr. Shah Nazir, HOD, Computer Science, University of Swabi, to deliver inaugural speech. I request Dr. Shah Nazir, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Good morning to everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome all the participants today, and thank you for joining the one-day multidisciplinary international conference on ecology, economy, emerging technology, and people for sustainable livelihood in SAARC countries, today organized by the Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi, Mahavidyalaya, Khed, Savitribai, Pune University, Pune, University of Swabi, Pakistan, Maharashtra, Bhugolshastra, Parishad, India. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, this conference to be entirely done online. It is our pleasure to introduce you to the distinguished people who will be attending this conference from diverse walk of life. This conference has different theme that is pertinent to what is going in the world in the recent years, the changing education dynamic around the world as a result of the COVID pandemic are the themes and focus of the conference and so on. Themes of the conference are mostly ecology, economy, energy, emerging technology, people for Sustainable Livelihood in SAARC countries. The sub-themes of the conference broadly cover the aspects of sustainable development goals in South Asia, the key issues, opportunities, and challenges. I am very thankful to all of you. I want to thank and appreciate all the delegates as well as the support staff for their efforts in making this conference a true success. I encourage all the attendees to participate in all of the events planned for today. And last, I am very thankful to Professor Nitin Kalamkumar, Vice Chancellor, Savitribai, Pune University, Professor Dr. Nasir Jamal Khattak, Vice Chancellor, University of Swabi, Dr. Kumar Saptarshi, President, Maharashtra, Gandhi, Smarak Pune, Founder, and RMG College, with Dr. Joyitram Moore, General Secretary, Maharashtra, Bhugolshastra Parishad. Keynote addresses, Professor Dr. Lal Mervin Dharmashri and Dr. Parveen G. Saptarshi. The chief organizer, especially Mr. Santosh Mani, secretary. I wish everyone a productive and successful conference. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Shah Nazir, sir, for delivering introductory speech. Without further any ado, let us turn to the keynote address. So, first we have Professor Lal Mervin Dharmashri, Senior Professor Chair, Department of Geography, University of Kelania, Sri Lanka. I request Dr. Lal Mervin Dharmashri as a keynote speaker to deliver a speech to the conference.
Okay, thank you. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, thank you very much once again. Good morning to all of you. Professor Nitin Kamela, Vice Chancellor of the University of Pune, Dr. Jayatimar, Trustee, Maharashtra Parishad, Dr. Salve, President of the Rashtrapita, sorry for my pronunciations, and Dr. Jerome and Mo, Dr. Shasha Nasir, University of Saab, and all other distinguished guests, and also Dr. V.S. Salunke, Chairperson of the sessions, member of the organizing committee of the conference, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to me to address the distinguished audience present online and give this speech at the one-day multidisciplinary international conference on ecology, economy, emerging technology, and people for sustainable livelihoods in SAARC countries. On this occasion, I would like to thank the organizers of this event, Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, University of Swabi, and Maharashtra Parishad, who organized this important e-conference. Today, I will speak on rural livelihood transformation of Sri Lanka, challenges and opportunities, which is related to South Asia, in particular to Sri Lanka. Rural livelihood is a broad concept which stretches across several dominions and disciplines to capture the different ways in which how ecological systems, socio-economic systems, and their governance contribute to determine income generation and distribution in rural area. One of the most widely accepted definition of livelihood was brought by the Carney in 1998, saying that livelihood comprises the capabilities, assets, including both material and social resources, and activities required for a means of living. So-called a livelihood is a material means whereby one lives. Livelihood generation refers to all economic activities that people undertake to provide for their basic needs. For the result of outcomes of those activities in terms of livelihood is used. According to Bernstein in 1992, means of livelihood other than farming has divided into three major activities, that is agriculture, agricultural related activities such as artisan production and small scale processing, and non-agricultural activities such as handicraft productions, petty traders and other services. However, as he mentioned, the third category can be further elaborated with the activities obtained from the wage earning activities of labor. Also, more activity could be added as the earning from the foreign employment, etc. Sri Lanka has a predominantly rural population, and their livelihood depend on the agriculture or agriculture-related activities like India. Rural population in Sri Lanka was 17.8 million. That's a very small amount when compared to Indian populations. That it's in 2020. In comparison to the previous year, it has been increasing 0.48%. However, the rate of change in the rural population has been decreasing. Out of the total population of Sri Lanka, 27% one engage in agriculture. This is very low. This is less than one third. Agriculture account for 7.4% of the gross domestic product in 2020. It was 27.8% and 14.2% in 1980 and 2000 year respectively. The data shows the GDP share from the agriculture has been gradually decreasing in Sri Lanka during the last half of century. Rural livelihood can be certainly distinguished features in terms of structural characteristics, and they are theoretically valid. The first common feature is the small-scale subsistence agriculture is dominating the rural sector of the country. They mainly using family labor is the major features of the rural livelihoods. As we know that most peasants are engaged in agricultural activities. However, most of them produce at least some food for their own consumption. But peasantry also hired out their labor from other farms and engage in other forms of employments. And they also often to buy and sell staple and other foods. Accordingly, two subsectors that could be identified as a subsistence farming sector and the commercial farming sector, where the farmers sell their agricultural surplus at the market. Sometimes they could be identified as a producer as well as consumers. These features represent the dual economy of the peasant sector. Another features of the rural livelihood and diversified activities, since the non-farm sector activities frequently play a significant and sometimes a dominant role in the peasant livelihood. So practicing traditional norms and customs. So practicing traditional norms and customs which are linked with their day-to-day life and farming activities, rural elites of the society are another common features of the society. Landlords or wealthy people play a key role of the society, while others have negligible influence the nature and impact of the decision making. It may cause for exploitation of rural majority of powerful elites of the society. Important features of such society, important features of such society is a social transition. Transition implies changes over time, which emphasize the peasant livelihood are neither static or fixed. They are dynamic adapting to change in their environment and different socio-economic scenario of the globalization. This transition is a temporal and spatial widespreading with the modernization. So rural livelihood transformation, that's the main theme of my speech. So Julio Bergley has correctly stated that the rural livelihood transformation is the process of comprehensive social change where rural societies diversify their economic and reduce their reliance on agriculture, become dependent on distance place to trade and to acquire goods, service, and ideas. Under socio-economic, political, and cultural scenario, due to rural-urban linkages, rural activities, which depend on many sectors inside and outside of agricultural activities, this process of livelihood transformation is happening. In Sri Lanka, rural livelihood transformation has not been clearly identified before the independence or during the colonial period by both academia as well as policy makers. After the independence of the country, the livelihood transformed gradually with the objectives of increasing agricultural production, increasing marketable surplus for sustained self-sufficiency. However, the transformation had been taking place rapidly with the adoption of open economic policy in 1997. Barriers for imports were waived and production for exports was encouraged, while unskilled labor migration for the Middle East countries made remittance and alternative livelihood options. The open economic policy caused to emerge a new rural elites with new small and medium scale entrepreneurs who have earned money from the businesses. Further, new education society has been appeared with the free education policy of the country, widespread health facilities, and infrastructural development also caused the transformation of the livelihoods. Adaptation of new technology for the agriculture also created the boom of the agricultural production of the country. Consequently, the landowners, wealthy sector was replaced by the emerging new entrepreneurs. The rural livelihood was also being significantly changed by the return migrant workers from the abroad, introducing new technical appliances and their behavioral change caused rapid transformation of the rural livelihoods of the country. In addition, impact of the globalization is also the reason for change in rural society of the country. As a consequence, and I have to mention one more thing, that the war in the north and eastern province, which ended in 2009, was another landmark of the rural transformation of the country. Many young people lost their lives for both sides, government and the Tamilian sides. And the number of widows increased in this war. However, the different mindset emergence with the ideologies and motherlands of the Tamils and Sinhalese during and after the war. So as a conception of all the factors, these reasons, the transformation that occurred during the period, so several challenges can be identified. So I identified a few challenges. The first one is the migration from the rural areas to urban area has been intensified during the last few decades and caused for rapid urbanization of the country. Most of them have been migrating to urban areas due to full factors of the rural sector. Low wages, high cost of living, social insecurity, accommodations are some of the major challenges faced by particularly the migrant from the rural society. So there are positive and negative impacts on rural out-migration. In positive aspect, the population pressure and unemployability will be reduced by the rural out-migration. On the other hand, it will adversely affect to the shrink in the workforce in the agriculture, and so on. Widening the inequality gap between the rich and poor in rural society is caused by the application in modern agriculture, that is green technology, green revolution. Those who have applied the new technology for the agriculture become rich while others stayed poor. Most of the small-scale subsistence farmers were struggling to manage their livelihood with the high cost of production then and now. Land fragmentation. So it is another important challenge. Land fragmentation is one of the major causes for reducing agricultural production in the rural sector of the country. It is one of the customary practice done by the land parcel holders to divide their plot of lands with their children. It has caused many issues like high cost of production, low returns, and increase in litigation, and so on. On the other hand, some landholders transfer or sell their tiny plot of lands caused for de-agriculturization. Changing behavior of some men and women who have returned after earning from abroad have been causing different social and cultural issues. The breaking families, family ties, losing child protection, and conflicts are the problems pertaining with these issues. It's another major challenge. It is that the deterioration of social lifestyle because the existence of the widows, orphan childs, and so on in the rural area, in particular the north and eastern part of the country. So there are several opportunities could be identified to overcome these changes. So these opportunities available for the opportunities such as the worst scenarios of the deterioration in the rural livelihood of the country can be transformed. Imagine entrepreneurship class in rural society, decentralization of industrial sector, garment industry, and value added in agricultural and allied products provide much scope of exploiting foreign market. Current COVID situation, however, hampered the prospect of the rural livelihood diversification in this line. However, establishment of agro-based industries in agriculture-dominated area and creating opportunities, urban growth centers as the better solutions for avoiding the rural out-migration. On the other hand, it will provide the better market for primary production and generate additional employment opportunities for the rural people of the area. Also, it may help to increase the social security by establishing industries. It's a good practice to transform from inorganic farming to organic farming for reduction in the cost of production and achieve sustainability. Even though the government of Sri Lanka had a bad experience of rapid transformation to organic farming to organic farming from inorganic farming, so there are a lot of problems here. However, there is a possibility to find the right path to reach the goals of sustainable agriculture by applying smart agriculture, smart farming technology, which is a mixing input of chemicals and organic for the agriculture. It may support to enhance the livelihood of the rural sector of the country. Rural out-migration and provide off-farm employments are a good practice to reduce land fragmentation of the agricultural land holdings. Promoting land consolidation is another alternative approach to reduce the agrarianization here. Changing value systems and aspirations of the rural people, especially the people who return from the abroad, are the good approach for transforming their livelihood into better path. If they have an opportunity for investing the entrepreneurial activities, it will help to create the income generation. Finally, Finally, I understand the condition of rural livelihood of Sri Lanka, and it's more less similar to SAARC countries, India and Sri Lanka, Pakistan, more or less same. Structural transformation process, which includes a suitable policy formulation, is required for enhancing agricultural production and productivity, increasing marketable surplus, expanded off-farm employment opportunities, reduced land fragmentation, better access to services and infrastructure, so that the rural livelihood will be improved and it will directly help to growth of economic activities in the country. So thank you very much for listening to my speech. Thank you very much. It's over to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for your valuable talk. Now, your valuable talk, it was really very informative and valuable for us. Now, I request Dr. V.S. Salunke, sir, Chairperson of this session, Department of Geography, K.J. Somaya College of Arts and Commerce Science, Kopargaon, District Ahmednagar, to take as a chair of this session and to deliver speech for this session.
Thank you, sir.
I invite Dr. V.S. Salunke, sir.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Thank you once again. Good morning, and one and all present over here for on this occasion of International Conference on Ecology, Economy, Emerging Technology, and People for Sustainable Livelihood in SAARC countries, organized by Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, Khed, affiliated to Savitribai Phule Pune University, and University of Swabi, Khyber, Pakhtunkhwa, and Maharashtra Bhugolshastra Parishad, Pune. At the outset, I would like to thank Honorable Kumar Saptarshi, sir, Honorable Praveen Saptarshi, sir, Honorable Jyotiram More, sir, for giving me this kind of opportunity for being chairperson of this session. And it is great pleasure and privilege for me to be part of this international conference. And sir had just delivered very particular topic that Honorable Sir Lal Parveen Dharmashri, sir. I think I'm very fortunate in this regards that this is the second lecture, or I have heard him twice, and sir, he is definitely remembering that on the January 2014 at Parvatibai Chogule College, Goa, and at that time, sir, we have discussed a lot, and you have encouraged us in so many ways in that lecture, which is on geospatial technology in this in Goa particularly. So it was very nice experience. Now it is also this sir has dealt with this subject. It was very explorative way, and it was very thought-provoking session, sir. Actually, sir has rightly pointed out that he has explained the definition of rural transformation, livelihood transformation, and small scale subsistence agriculture is the major characteristic in Sri Lankan agriculture, as well as non-farming activities are also dominant activities. Peasantry activities are there. They are very dominant activities in rural areas, and social transformation is important aspect due to that globalization, liberalization in economy, and so it is also very sir has explained these concepts and the cause of this rural transformation, livelihood transformation in Sri Lanka. Then he has rightly identified that before independence, the livelihood transformation was not that much, but it is gradually increased with that globalization and liberalization in economy, and the remittance migration, and the challenges, he has focused on that particular issue also, and so challenges like land fragmentation also, then migration from rural areas to urban areas. He has very pointed out that then poverty, inequality, the gaps in resources also, they have explained that particular way. Then certain opportunities are also there. New technology, green technology, we can use in agriculture. Then emerging entrepreneurship in rural area as well as agro-based industries. It is also very important here. Then this will provide additional employability in rural area. So this kind of opportunities you have mentioned here. Then increase role of green and organic agriculture in this Sri Lanka as well as SAARC countries. It is also important. Sir has rightly pointed out after that the rural livelihood transformation. It is more or less similar in all SAARC countries. Sir, it is a very correct sentence, or very truly you have said that, mentioned that. In this regards, that out of has declared that sustainable development goal. There are 17 sustainable goals are there. Out of that, first 7 goals, they are closely related with rural environment. Then our former president, Honorable His Excellency Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam has rightly pointed out that we should bridge up the gap between rural development and urban development and rural backwardness. Therefore, he has suggested the Pura model, that is provision of urban amenities to rural areas. And in this way, several villages are characterized by poverty, illiteracy, unsafe drinking water, lack of clean and green energy. So these are the conditions in villages, particularly even today also, and it will going to change in your future. So, and you have mentioned the impact of COVID also. Sir, COVID-19 pandemic has teach us economic development should be sustainable development. We should focus on technology without harming ecology. So with these words, I would like to thank Honorable Lal Parveen Dharmeshri sir for his very, very delightful lecture, keynote session. With this, looking forward for such grand organization and in future also. So with this word, I would like to stop, and I'm again thankful to organizers for this opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, V.S. Thanke sir, for your concluding speech of this session. Now we have another keynote speaker, eminent keynote speaker, Dr. Praveen G. Saptarshi sir, Chairman, Panjia Geographical Association, India, and visiting professor, Salisbury University, USA, and trustee of our college and president of College Development Committee of our college, Dr. Praveen Saptarshi sir. He will talk on the topic appropriate technology for inclusive development for livable future for common people. I request Dr. Praveen Saptarshi sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Vankar. Let me welcome my dear friend Dharmeshri and my Pakistani friend Shah, Professor Shah, for joining and enlightening the people who have joined, mostly from India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Pakistan. Almost the majority of the SAARC countries, the academicians from the SAARC countries have joined this. So I really congratulate my principal and his staff for organizing these things and technical support given by Dr. Santosh Mane. Ladies and gentlemen, I am really happy to be with you, and I feel highly honored to address the keynote to the people around the people from most of the countries outside India and within India. Let me start with the content from Professor Dharmeshri's lecture, that the rural livelihood is changing and there are so many challenges. We have decided to have the conference on
this ecology, economy, and technology for people and people for livelihood, uh, sustainable livelihood in the SAARC countries or in any countries, SAARC countries, or it can be easily called as in any poor countries. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is really the crucial issue and real challenge is ecological damage. Means what are the ecological services? Ecological services are twofold services mainly. First one is ecological services, means it provides us, environment provides us the resources. Secondly, environment or ecological processes swallow our waste. The waste created by human society is totally swallowed or degraded by the ecological processes. So these two major functions of ecological services are being threatened. This is the real challenge. And what is the cost of ecological degradation? It is to be understood. So if ecological degradation is there, the cost is borne by the poor section of society. Now, we always say that this is due to some mining, the vegetation cover is or biodiversity is reduced, or environmental degradation is there, soils are degraded. But who are the sufferers? Sufferers are always from the poor section of society. For example, for mining the mica, it is very difficult that even the children, children labor, children laborers are involved in this mining, and there are so many accidents and so many people died, and they are paid so less that they have to come to the mining activities, and it's very sad thing to note that there is no technological intervention to achieve freedom from such agony of the workers in the mines. So this is dangerous. We always think of the battery operated vehicles, and this is a great achievement, and this is great thing that we are this is technological intervention, and we consider it as something new and something useful, something which can save the environment. So this is also, we have to take note that it is dependent on the cost of livelihood of poor people in Nigeria involved in mining lithium. So, my dear friends, the only answer to this question of ecological damage, this challenge of ecological restoration is we have to reduce our needs. So we have to revolt against the culture of mass production. So mass production and the shelf life, increasing shelf life of the products coming from corporates, they are damaging ecology more and more, and this has been continued till today, and it will be continued even for the longer period after even tomorrow. So that's why there is no sign of stopping this ecological degradation, and that's why we have to consider that another dimension of sustainability, that is economy. And what is economy? what is the state of economy at the world level and even at SAARC countries. So if we see that there is cooperation amongst the people at the apex. So India, Pakistan, there is a conflict. India, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, there may be some conflicting areas. But even then, there is no harm for multinationals. So this is, Professor Dharmasri, please, we have to work on this. For them, no national boundary is hindrance. So it may be products from China, products from the India or Sri Lanka or even in Pakistan. If they are the products of some big corporates, there is no hindrance of national boundaries. So they can easily do the business across the national boundaries all over the world. See the Coca-Cola, big corporates. So the world economy is mainly dominated by the corporate economy, which is not having any idea of welfare. The welfare and CSR, the corporate social responsibilities, all these things have become now lip services. In very good articulated language, they can say how they are doing the social justice, but no social justice is observed at Pachimara by Coca-Cola or even the Cargill company. So and this world polity is also according to it is also supporting economy. In India, before globalization, so we adopted the mixed economy. Means we are neither socialist nor the capitalist, but in between and slightly tilted towards the left. Means the welfare economy was there. So lot of welfare activities were done. I am the product of free education in my village. So many academicians in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, or all seniors, so they can definitely go back to their past and they can easily find that they could achieve the present status of academic excellence only because they were educated in the primary schools supported by the government. So that is important thing. And this is now being threatened. So this is the great challenge in the economy. Economy is designed in such a way that the economy is mainly establishing the linkages between the nations to exploit human and the ecological resources from that country through international trade. And this we have to take care. So otherwise the geographers are also there. Many geographers are joining here. So they know that the Gunnar Myrdal's theory of backwash theory. So in this way, the purchasing of sugar from India means purchasing of this much amount of water, large amount of water, which is used to grow sugar cane and which is used to produce the sugar. So this means that we are selling in Western Maharashtra, the average rainfall is far less than the requirement of water for sugar cane. But we are producer of this we are exporting sugar to United States of America, many European countries also. This means that we are selling our basic resources for throwaway price to the rich countries. Another thing is that you can find that the rich countries are not not bearing the cost of ecological damage. They throw their waste in poor countries in the form of so-called business, like the vessels. They are trying to send the old vessels to Gujarat coast, and we take pride that we can recover good quality steel. But who are the people, who are the workers who are exposed to asbestos, and they are exposed for the exposed for the cancer? So these are the things. Even the technology, you can find that the technology, emerging technologies. I can remember when I was in Los Angeles, I have seen that many children are suffering from kidney stone. This is because of fracking. The oil resources are being extracted through the technology like fracking. So this kind of technology is of no use to human society. This is so. In nutshell, one can certainly say that the economies of the world are being designed and are being strengthened to dominate the linkages, to exploit the resources from poor people to the rich people. And that's why, as Professor Dharmasri has pointed out, that the gap between the poor and the rich is increasing. So disparity index even in United States of America is very high. Disparity index in Sri Lanka is very high. In India, all the SAARC countries, the major challenge is the increasing order of disparity index. And that's why we have to take care about this disparity. And suppose if we say that the loan, you can say that the some subsidies to be given to the poor people, then people immediately shout. Even the academicians, they write in English newspapers, they write in various papers and in media. So they consider that anything given free of charge is making them more and more poor. No, this is, you are returning from your profit, you are returning from your luxury to improve the basic livelihood resources of those people. And what are the basic livelihood resources of poor people? And those livelihood resources are being degraded because of the urbanization, because of the you can say the wars, because of industrial growth, you can say that the urban sprawls are there. The industries want the more and more business, building and construction activities, and that's why redevelopment, even in Sri Lanka and Pakistan, I have seen that there are the culture of redevelopment of this the housing societies. What for? This is to provide the business for cement industry. This is to provide business for the construction activities, and this is the one of the biggest. Next to war industry or defense related industry is the maximum, most rich industry all over the world. So all these corporates are involved in it. Do you know that the many people, the corporates, they don't have anything related to the Hindus or Muslims or Sinhalese or the Shias or Sunnis. So they are doing business. They are earning profits. And all these things are taught to the poor people. And that's why I remember, always I remember, the Gandhian ideas. He was above religion and he was against ecological damage. He was telling Britishers that we don't want this industrial culture, and which culture is that culture which kills the livelihood of others and making the luxurious life of rich people. So that's why Gandhiji was not against Britishers, not against certain religion or certain race. He was against this new culture, and that's why he was considered to be the not a modern person. But when I got the opportunity to talk about Gandhian ideas on peace in Stanford University. So I said that Gandhi, being the father of our nation, I can say like this. I just began with this: the Gandhi being the father of our nation. Immediately, chairperson said that, intervened and said that, don't say that Gandhiji is just father of India. He is father of modern society. Modern society means the society in which brotherhood is more valued than the predator's economy. So today's economy is predator's economy, means the killing the others' livelihood, killing the others' opportunities to grab the resources. The one person or few persons, even in India and in Sri Lanka also, in Bangladesh also, the rich peasantry has also started the exploitatory roots, exploitation from the poor people. So this kind of culture is percolated right up to the bottom of pyramid. And that's why Gandhiji was of the opinion that the production by masses is more important than mass production. So he was always telling that what is the crux of Indian culture? Sharing is our the major part of our culture. This is not just like a you can see that any dog or cat or any animal is not sharing his prey with others. So but the human beings all over the world cannot eat without asking the neighborhood whether you have taken food or not. So, but in industrially developed countries, I have seen the culture that they will just say that, oh, I am hungry, I am going to eat. He will never bother about the other person, one who is accompanying him, whether he is hungry or not. So anyway, so this means that we have to remember what has been taught, the lessons given by the father of modern society all over modern world. And that's why I think that, considering the technology part, the technology is also, that's why I say that the appropriation of technology is important. So technology is there. Because of that technology, we are connected. The Pakistan academicians from Pakistan and India can come together because of this technology. So hopefully both the governments should not ban such conferences. So they can ban visa, but for internet, the virtual conferences. So we should come together and share our agonies, share the sorrows of poor people from Pakistan, from Sri Lanka, and we should unitedly think about the solutions. and we can come together and compel the governments so that they at least polity in the democratic environment should be such that this predators capitalism should not be overwhelmingly supported by the governments in all the SAARC countries. So that's why regarding technology, so I can remember one thing, or everybody knows it, that in Kyoto Protocol in 1996, what was decided in Kyoto Protocol? There were the countries of the world were divided into two groups: industrially developed as Annex A countries and industrially backward as Annex B countries. What happened to them? So what was the agenda for Annex A countries? So you use your technological knowledge to reduce carbon emission just by 5.6% by 2002. But this was not achieved even up to 2022. No developed country so-called boasting that we are technologically upgraded, we are technologically great countries. No country could achieve this target of reducing carbon emission just by 5.6%. And that is why there is problem. This is the culture of mass production and mass consumption. And that's why Gandhiji was of the opinion that they'll consume less, reduce your needs. Gandhiji was even telling us that the aparigraha, don't have more and more and more properties. So property is himsa, property is violence. Property, to make property, is the violent action of the people. And so you can say that we can see some examples that why technologies are not finding solution. This is mainly because the scientists who have developed good technologies, they are purchased, the patents have been purchased, but they are not in use. This is mainly because for previous technology, they have invested some money and their lock-in period, so economists can easily understand that their lock-in period or gestation period is not over. Unless and until that is over, then and then only. Suppose somebody has invested a lot of money in excavating lithium or excavating mercury or excavating coal, so they are not going to stop immediately because they want to complete that lock-in period. And this is the crux of this is the you can say that the fight between economy and ecology, and technology is being sidelined. And that's why we propose that the appropriate technology can be, because this big technologies, it doesn't require any rocket science to clean the floor or clean the roads. So for cleaning the roads, we don't require the big machines which are in America or even in the metro cities of India, and also in metro cities of Pakistan and Sri Lanka. That big machines, big trucks, they are cleaning the roads. And now you see the carbon footprint of cleaning the road. The most appropriate technology is not to litter on roads. How not to litter on the road? Ban the products which are creating more waste. Ban the products like bottled water. Why metro cities? For example, I will tell you one example, that the RO systems we have conducted one survey in Dombivli, and we have found that this last year, more than 200 RO plants were the RO system, RO filters were purchased by the households in Dombivli in 1 year, 200 into 20,000, and plus some 1,000 rupees for maintenance every year, 1,000, 2,000 rupees. So now this much expenditure has been done by 200 households. And if you consider that, how many are there? There are more than 2,000 people who have installed the filters. This may be the similar case in Karachi or Colombo or in Dhaka. So we should think out of the box and find out that how this RO system is there any alternative? Yes, there is alternative, that you can have the bigger water filter system, so that clean and potable water can be supplied to, drinking water can be supplied to all the households. And then the problem is solved. So, but we want to supply the water which is contaminated through taps by municipal authorities to support the market or demand, to improve the demand for RO system which is produced in the industrial sector. So this is conspiracy. Only academicians can easily point out, easily identify such conspiracies, and we should work on it, and we should try to think about some alternative technologies. One of my students, she has put forth one simple model of cleaning water. She has used this pressure cooker for boiling the water and matka for the cooling water. And she said that this is the cheapest one all over the world. So this is most safe water, safer than the RO system filter. So this is really, we have to think and rethink about potable water, how to avoid water contamination, how to avoid littering on the road, how to ban the products which are creating more and more waste. So now in pandemic time, many young people have brought many things through Amazon, and that's why Amazon has windfall profit in the pandemic time. And what is the packing of Amazon? Can Amazon take it back and recycle it? No, Amazon has no such system of taking it back. So this means that this is the pressure on those who are cleaning the roads. This is real pressure on the workers who are engaged in the cleaning of sweepers. So this is the pressure because of Amazon, and Amazon is not bearing that cost of livelihood of that worker. So in urban areas also, so such problems have been created by big corporates. One need not be communist or socialist or Marxian to understand this. Simple geographical knowledge, simple sociological understanding, simple the laws of economics, laws of political science can tell us that this is the real issue of today's technology. So technological divide is there. In my college is placed in the Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, which has organized this event. So it is placed in such a village where the technological support is not there. That's why my principal and most of my teachers have come to certain you can say that the cities, towns where this kind of internet facility is available, and from there they are trying to communicate with each other. So these are the problems. There is a digital divide between the people, groups of people, and therefore this kind of divide between rural India and the urban India is important. So this means that the high-tech technology is not in position to resolve the problem. And that's why we should go back to appropriate technology. Once I can show you, or no need to play the video. You might have seen, even Professor Kedar might have seen in Nepal, Professor Maya might have seen it at Nagar or Dharmasri at his place, that many people in construction site, if we see the laborers at construction site, you can find that they are taking some bricks on their head and climbing up for just transporting bricks from the ground floor to the upper floors. Is there any technology for that? No, because the technology people, they don't want to, only technology is there, which you can test the soil, you can find out NPK and put the chemicals in it. This is not the real technology. They don't consider the ecological processes. There is ecological, soil ecology says that the bacterial load within the soil, if it is sufficient, they can produce NPK, which is required, which is absorbable by the root system of the crops. But we try to tell the academicians, the scientists like me and you, we told them, we always teach them. We have already told it right from 80s, right from Swaminathan's period, that you should put some artificial NKP and potassium for which are considered as the macronutrients for the crops. It was not necessary. It is not necessary. One scientist from ICAR, Singh from Karnal University, he has developed the model of ecological enrichment and getting the crop productivity more. But we overlook such kind of appropriate technologies because the corporate pressure is that their products, petroleum products, should be demanded by the rural sector. What is the result? Result is, suppose I advise the young geographers, the social scientists, young economists to carry out the cost-benefit analysis of sugarcane production, cost-benefit analysis of the various agricultural activities. And yes, I'm going to stop at 11:55. And then only we can understand that the major money which is earned by way of milk production, by way of floriculture, so-called new technologies in agriculture, by way of the commercial cropping. So major money goes to the corporate sectors. And that's why we have to go for, we have to switch over for the appropriate technology, and that will achieve the inclusive growth. We don't want the exclusive growth of corporates. We want exclusive growth of masses. And we want to protect the livelihood resources, basic drinking water, water for agriculture, the soils, then the transport and communications. So we don't require big roads and flyovers. We require the simple connectivity, and that simple connectivity is not provided by the 4-lane, 6-lane highways. So these are the problems of big technologies, and most of the technologies are pushed to why roads are constructed in India these days. This is mainly because the cement production of concrete is surplus, and we want to provide them. Same is the case in Pakistan also, and that's why the concrete roads are there, but not the small village roads are not constructed. So, ladies and gentlemen, so this is the message for takeaway, and that message is that we should go for appropriate technology which can easily handle by the people who are in majority in SAARC countries, and they will just fuel the upliftment of livelihood of the downtrodden people or the people from the bottom of pyramid. So with these words, I wish that young geographers and the social scientists would work on this, and my young friend Kedar is appearing, so I'm very happy and happy to see Kedar, Shaha, Maya, and this Pagare, and all these young friends are there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar Saptarshi sir, for your keynote address and a very insightful thought on the topic of this session. Thank you once again, sir. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. S.A. Rajguru sir, Head, Department of Geography, SSA Arts and Commerce College, Solapur, to speak as the chairperson of this session. Dr. S.A. Rajguru sir.
Hello, I am audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Good morning to all. I am Dr. S.A. Rajguru, Head of Department, Solapur Social Association, Arts and Commerce College. Today, this international conference, Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, Khed, University of Swabi, Khyber, Pakhtunkhwa, and Maharashtra Parishad, the collaboratively organized this international conference. I am grateful to the part of this international conference. I thank you from this organization to give me this opportunity. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Nitin Karmadkar, Savitribai, Pune University, Pune. The General Secretary of Maharashtra Bhugolshastra, Dr. Jyotiram More sir, Dr. Shah Nazir sir, Head of Department, Computer Science, University of the Swabi, Dr. D.B. Salve, Principal, Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, Khed, and today the keynote address speaker, Dr. Kumar Saptarshi. The topic of sir, appropriate technology includes the development for the livable future, common people. Sir delivers the lecture, technology and the development of this livable future in common people. Sir has explained the SAARC countries, the environmental degradation and the economical degradation. Also, sir, the pointed out the child labor of the mining areas, then the conflicts of India and Pakistan, the conflicts of India and Nepal and India and Sri Lanka. Sir also remarks after the independence and the before the independence, the economical condition or the economical development of the country. Then the Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the modern society, how to develop this modern society. Then also, sir pointed out the technology used very easily and to carefully handle the carefully. Then the sir has explained the safe water, drinking water or the clean water system, road system, And the important point to explain, sir, thank you from the giving this valuable lecture from this international conference. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, S. A. Rajguru sir, for your concluding remark of this conference. Now we have 4 plenary sessions. So I'm going to start first plenary session, and we have eminent resource person from across the world. Now I would like to invite Dr. Kedar Rijal sir, Central Department of Environment Science, Tribhuvan University, Kirtipur, Kathmandu, Nepal.
Okay.
As a resource person for the conference. I request Dr. Kedar Rijal sir.
Thank you. Give me 1 second to join to open the PowerPoint.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Just a minute. Have you seen my slide? Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, sir.
Okay, give me.
It seems that you are totally recovered from your illness.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are so good.
Okay. Actually, are you?
Yes.
Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You are sharing your screen. Sir.
Okay. Thank you, organizer, especially the. Again, what happened? Again, it.
Okay, sir. Your slide shows.
But
Start slideshow.
yeah, but again it disrupted. So. What's wrong?
Sir, again share.
Yeah, I'll do it, sir. It's the slide. Have you seen the slide? Hello?
Just wait, sir. Not yet, sir. Not yet.
Please open, sir.
Slide is not coming?
No.
No, sir, no.
Again, reopen.
Okay, I'll do it, sir. Sorry for delay. Huh?
No problem.
Try screen.
No, sir, not sure.
Just I'll take the help much.
Okay. Participants and attendees, we have very eminent resource persons in the upcoming session. That is Dr. Alak Paul and Dr. S.B. Shinde, Dr. F.M. Nadab sir. So I request all the participants to stay tuned with us.
Kedar sir, any technical issue, send me email from Santosh Mane.
Okay.
That will be better.
Okay.
Santosh can show your slides.
Participants and attendees, sorry for delay because of some technical issues. In the upcoming plenary session, we have Dr. Alok Pol sir, Professor, Department of Geography, University of Chittagong, Bangladesh, and after that, in the third session, we have Professor S.D. Shinde, Chairman, Board of Studies in Geography, Geology, and Head, University of Shivaji University, Kolhapur, India. For that session, we have Chairperson Dr. T.R. Magar, Professor, Department of Geography, Mahavidyalaya, Pandharpur, Maharashtra, India. And in the fourth session, we have resource person Dr. F.M. Nadab, Vice Principal and Professor, Department of Geography, BPM Sri Mallikarjun Sri Chetan Manju Desai College, Goa. And for that session, we have Chairperson Dr. Kavita GN, Faculty Center for Women Studies, Jana Bharati Campus, Bangalore University, Bangalore. So I hope the upcoming session also will be very helpful, will be very informative for you. At the present, the first session, we have Dr. Kedar Rijal sir, Central Department of Environmental Science, CDES, Tribhuvan University, Kirtipur, Kathmandu, Nepal. And for this session, we have Chairperson Dr. Unde Maya, HOD Geography, Ahmednagar College, Ahmednagar, Maharashtra.
Sure.
Dr. Kedar, yes, sir.
I have already sent you email also.
Okay. Manish sir is seeing, sir.
Okay, now I think it is here, huh?
1 minute, I received.
Oh, shall I start now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you seen from there?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, and I apologize for the delay because of some technical reason. I will start now. I will not take more than 20 minutes. First of all, I would like to thank you, the organizer, giving me this opportunity, especially my guru, Saptarshi sir. I have the high regards to all the Indian scientists and scholars because I'm a graduate from the University of Pune. Again, there is a disturbance there. I don't know why it happened. So my topics of presentation is the restoration ecology in the Himalaya region. I'm going to talk today, but there is it's not supporting from my side, sir. Maybe you can help from over there because I could not move the slide from here.
Mane sir.
Manaji, I have already sent you the
slide.
Can
you help, sir?
Sir, I'm sharing your slide. Close your slide, sir, please. I share yours.
Okay, please share, then you move according my instruction, then it will be better. Sorry for, I don't know why it is not happening from over here. Okay. Okay, sir. Could you put in the slideshow mode, sir? So, okay. My top. It's not supporting by the system. I don't know why. Manisha, are you trying to share again?
No, sir. Wait, sir. Wait.
Okay.
Wait, sir.
Okay. I think it will. I hope it will work. So, I again apologize to all the dignitaries because of something reason I couldn't manage in time. Anyway, my topics will be for today presentation of the restoration ecology in the Himalaya region. Why I'm talking reason behind that, really, as Sadrishi mentioned, that everything the human being is getting from the ecosystem. But because of our greediness and everything, we're in the name of development, we're really destroying our ecosystem day by day. So, but the science has given another beauty that there is some provision how the destroyed ecology can be restored. I'll focus on these things. And the outline of the presentation is the background, why ecology restoration in the Himalaya region, why it needed, process of restoration ecosystem, how we can restore the ecosystem, what we have degraded knowingly and unknowingly, restoration challenges. But even though there is some technique approaches there is a big hurdle, big challenge from different corner of the society, and basically from it demands resources also. And the way forward maybe in the region, how the ecological can be restored, and this is the take-home message will be a couple of points will be there. Next slide, please. Yeah, because of the human activities, we really destroy what the nature has given the human being. And at the same time, like we people have started how the ecosystem can be restored. And ecology restoration assists the recovery of an ecosystem that has been degraded, damaged, or destroyed by the human being. And the leopard man is the first man who tried to establish the ecosystem, and he tried to manage how the ecosystem can be restored. So the credit goes to him that he is a pioneer for the restore ecology science. It's a new discipline. Next slide, please. Yes, if you talk the data things, really ecosystem has given to everything to the human being. In our region, the study on the restoration, they say there's a provisioning services there. We are getting the materials also, we have the cultural, everything. We are getting ecology. But if you see the research perspective, this area basically in Southeast Asia, the attention has been given in very less compared to the other area of research. That's why I want to show this slide for in the days to come, young scientists across our region, basically in Southeast Asia, we need to focus on how the restoration can be restored in our context to help the better and the livelihood of the simple, and I mean the people who are living in the rural area, as Saptarshi mentioned, because we are taking only the urban area. At the same time, we are neglecting the research in the rural area. So in this context, there is a need of the big research for the ecological in the remote area of any country or any society. Next slide, please. Yeah, if you compare the other part also, that's how we are really, this is the behind the ecology research is very behind. That's why I want to urge the young scientists or researcher. Next slide, please. Yeah. Why ecology restoration in the Himalaya is needed? Really, this is a very big question nowadays. We need to discuss with our younger researchers, young students, wildlife and biodiversity. Really, because of the destroying the ecosystem, we really lose the wildlife and biodiversity across the region. I don't talk other part of the world, across the world, but particularly in our region, it has really impacted the wildlife and biodiversity, flora distribution, landscape stability, drinking water and water quality and quantity we are losing, health and safety at the same time, energy, we are getting energy crisis because of the not having the good restored ecology. See, India, Nepal, or Pakistan, Bangladesh, how many people is still using the biomass? And we are cutting off the forest. And because of that also, we are losing the source of energy. In other hand, water source of energy. And recreational activities. If you build the big cities, house, anything, but whatever the human being getting the best recreation from the nature, that natural beauty that we are destroying in the name of development. That's why we need to restore for the recreational point of view and the last, the disaster. We really did to destroy the ecosystem on hand. other hand, we are getting multiple level of disaster activities in across our region in name of whatever. I mean, the hot wave or cold wave, flood or drought. In all this is in the name of, I mean, our activity from we really destroy the ecological system, because nature has its own system to balance all those things. Because we disturb the system, that's we are getting the disaster scale and frequency every day in the large number of them. Next slide, please. See, these are some of the activities that we are doing, really destroying the Himalaya ecosystem in the mountain area of Nepal in the name of development. See, we are drying the water, I mean rivers, streams. At the same time, see the bank of the river, we are gathering the mine and the sands for our new development activities. Really, we destroy the home of the flora and the fauna, small, I mean the creature also. We never care about them. We are caring only the human being, how we can achieve the good things. Next slide, please. See, Nepal is a mountainous country. Every year, thousands and thousands people are trying to visit the mountain, and at the same time, they really destroy our Himalaya ecosystem. They left the garbage. They left the unwanted metal over there, which we couldn't recover, and the nature cannot recover. Because of that, we really destroy the Himalayan ecosystem, which is the source of the water for this South Asian region. Next slide, please. See, at the same time, we are really suffering the ecosystem, I mean the livelihood in the Himalaya region and the mountain region, because mountain life is very hard in one hand, other hand very beauty also. Because of all these unwanted activities, we really destroy the mountain ecosystem. Because of destroying the mountain ecosystem, we could not get the very best livelihood option in the mountain region. So these are some of the activities which is we can see in the countries of mountain area of Nepal, in the northern part of Nepal, maybe India or Pakistan or Bangladesh. This thing is happening. Next slide, please. And there are why I'm talking here, in the previous days we are talking that what is the source for hydropower in Nepal. Because of the destroying the ecosystem, the production of hydropower in Nepal may be going to be limited, because we are stopping the water source. There is a chance of disaster because the climate change, the water volume and the quantity is decreasing day by day. What will have our future? How we can get the irrigation, maybe India, Nepal, or in our region? Because we are not taking care of the sources of the water, which is the restoration of ecology. Without restoration of ecology, maybe water sources cannot be restored or maintained. Next slide, please. At the same time, biodiversity, agriculture activities, all these recreation activities, all these are based on the systematic ecosystem. All these things are very alarming situation in our region. That's why we need to restore the ecology. Ecological restoration is needed. Next slide, please. Yes, if you talk globally, in America also, nowadays the forests, millions of hectares forest destroying because of some climate change activities. Next slide, please. If you want to see the one example, or I'll see how the ecosystem collapsed over there and what happened around this area. This is one of the good example. Maybe in the North India or maybe in Nepal also, we are really losing the water body, and which will have a large implication. One of the example can be taken for ecosystem collapse in the Aral Sea. This thing is going to happen in our region also very soon. Some of the water body we already collapsed and we destroyed, and there is no ecosystem what we had 20 years before. Next slide, please. And in other way, because of the destroying the ecosystem, invasive species has been growing across our region, which really destroyed our native plant species, which we could not grow the agriculture active things in as we wanted, and some barriers has already started. And this is also because of one of the consequences is because of destroying the ecosystem in our region. Next slide, please. Because of that, the monsoon phenomena is impacted. When the monsoon phenomenon is impacted, overall our agriculture system, the livelihood system will impact it. In our daily life is also impacted, which we have seen in our South Asia region, how the monsoon pattern has changed and how it has impacted to our area and in every aspect of the life. Next slide, please. But there is a process. There is some science has been already introduced that how the restoration how we can restore the ecology. There is a new discipline science has been already introduced in this globe. So my main thought is that how that things can be implemented in our academic area for the younger generation, how we can transform, how we can educate our research that how we can restore the ecosystem, what we destroyed knowingly and unknowingly. Next slide, please. Yes, it is called state of ecosystem. So I don't want to go more theoretical perspective in this in general concept that there is a chance, the ecosystem in the different order. If you do some intervention at different level, the ecology can be restored. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, then. Okay. Now, what are the challenges? We knew that from the scientific perspective, from the scientists, people like you and we, the younger generation, we can restore the collapsed ecosystem. But there are some challenges. So how those challenges? One is the inadequate knowledge. That's why whatever the research we have done across the world in our region, we need to share what knowledge that we produce for the betterment of the restored ecology. Sometimes the localized knowledge will be needed. What our conventional people, what are the traditional people, they have their own knowledge and skills that we need to be documented. We need to be shared in scientific way. That's why that can be the scale of across our region. And another thing is that it is not a way for doing the top to bottom. It is bottom up approach. Ecosystem can restore in the local level with the local knowledge, with the local resources. Then we have to go in the higher level. That need to be discussed in our scientific forum. Scaling issue is also equally needed. Sometimes we are very much hesitant with people. The academician don't want to share the knowledge and skill what we achieve in our region, in our home, or in our country. This is the time to share the knowledge. So such type of conference really help to share the knowledge and the experiences, what we have done, how it works and it will not work, how we can learn from India, how we can learn from Pakistan or Bangladesh or Bhutan or Sri Lanka, and how you people can learn from Nepal also. That we need to be discussed, we need to be shared about these approaches. Another approach is that implementation and practices. The restoration of ecology can be implemented in integrated way. Not if you want to conserve the water sources, you need to think about the forest, you need to think about the soil, you need to think about the wildlife, you need to think about the local people of that region. Without, if you go in the very isolated way, the restoration of ecology can be very challenging. Next slide, please. Some in the China also, they have started how the restoration ecology can be restored in the maybe the destroyed of the land, agricultural land, the bank of the many big rivers in India, maybe in Nepal, maybe in the Pakistan, or maybe they destroy the forest nearby urban area, destroy the water sources nearby our town. So those can be restored. Some of the example has been already studied in Nepal too. Maybe I will say the next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Ecology restoration may become a vital component of ecosystem and management in the mountain region as they seek to improve the degraded habitat. If you want to improve the habitat in the degraded area, there is only one science is there, that is the restoration of ecology can help to some degree. Coupling the restoration effort to conserve effort offer many opportunities. Really, the restoration ecology can provide the livelihood support to the rural people and the poorest of the poor society. See, in the maybe India, Nepal, Bangladesh, in the bank of the river, they have started growing the watermelon. This is one of the example of restoration of the destroyed land nearby the river. In the Nepal also, in the nearby highway area, we have restored the ecology and giving to those land to the poor people, and they will start to grow the vegetables and they will sell in the market. engaging and encourage the stakeholders is equally important. I mean, we scientists, I mean, we researchers really need to learn from the farmers, convince, I mean, our older generation, how they have their own practice, restoration ecology, how that can be documented, and how we can share to other part of the world. In other approach, creating a collaboration mechanism strengthen the global network. I mean, this of conference really help for the sharing of the knowledge and practices among us, and learn among with our experiences also. That's why without the much more this last slide, a political and scientific cooperation are equally need in all level, regional, national and local level, for the conservation of Mother Earth. One country, one society, one region cannot conserve. That's why it has to start from the individual, family, society, local, national, and regional. Of course, maybe internationally, we need to be work together for the restoration of ecology, for the betterment of the Mother Earth. As Saptarshi sir also mentioned, that people to people connection. See, India to Nepal, Nepal to Pakistan, like that, people to people connection and cooperation are needed for the sustainable development of the society. Not only technology, not only the capital, unless and if there is no people to people connection, cooperation, the restoration activity cannot be achieved, and we could not conserve this Mother Earth. Last slide. Thank you for your listening to me, and this is just very brief about the why restoration ecology be needed, and how we can restore in the days to come, and how we can work in the collaborative way, at least South Asia region. Thank you very much for listening. My small thing, I mean, small students of Saptarshi sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Dr. Kedar Rijal, sir, being with us as a resource person of this session, you delivered very nice talk, sir. Thank you, sir, once again. Now, I request Dr. Unde Maya for carry forwarding the session as the chairperson of this session.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. This is the first session of this one-day international conference. I think this has been a great session with Dr. Kedar Rijal from Tribhuvan University, Kathmandu. He has delivered a very thought-provoking speech on restoration ecology in the Himalayan region. Sir has shown very informative scientific slides of local ecosystem in Nepal area. So thank you very much, sir, for a scientific informative session. I also thank you, all the participants, for your patience connecting. And I'm also thankful for organizing committee to give me an opportunity to participate in one day international seminar. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, madam. Being a chairperson of this session. Now, in the second plenary session, we have Dr. Alak Paul sir as a resource person of this session. He is a professor, Department of Geography and Environmental Studies, University of Chittagong, UK, Bangladesh. He is going to talk on the topic geo-environmental changes in Rohingya refugee neighborhoods in Bangladesh. Now I request Dr. Alak Paul sir to deliver speech. Dr. Alak Paul, sir.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay. Yes, I'm audible, but what about my presentation? Is it showing or?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet. Okay. I'll try again.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. You were so.
Okay, sir. Okay, you are audible, sir. No problem. Okay.
Sir, slide is not showing.
Slides.
Slide is not showing on the screen, sir.
Oh, okay.
Sir, please mail to Mane sir or Vankar sir.
Okay.
Please email.
Send mail to Mane, sir.
So I'll try again. I'll try again. Please just give me a few minutes. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay. No problem, sir.
I'll try again. Just next time.
Okay, sir. See.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you. So, respected organizers, speakers, all professors from different corners, postgraduate researchers, students, and other audiences. My name is Alok Pal. I'm actually a professor of geography, University of Chittagong, Bangladesh. Welcoming you all to my short presentation, actually titled Geo-Environmental Changes in Rohingya Refugee Neighborhoods, Bangladesh, Some Evidences. And my next few slides will show some literatures, how different organizers, different academicians, researchers, or some UN bodies like United Nations or UN, United Nations High Commission for Refugees, or some organizations like this. They are working on environmental or ecological issues. And about our study areas, methods, about our project, and findings. So you know very well that Rohingya refugee issues, which is actually happening here in Bangladesh for last few years. Between this conflict actually started in the decade of 1970s and is still going on between Myanmar and Bangladesh. So you know, these Rohingya people, they are actually stateless Muslim minority living in Myanmar, who has been surviving a subhuman life since August 25, 2017. More than 742,000 Rohingya refugees from Myanmar just left their country for a destination to Bangladesh. Actually, when violence broke out in the northern Rakhine state of Myanmar. And this movement, this refugee movement, can be considered as one of the fastest movement of people in recent migration history. And this unprecedented influx of refugees into Cox's Bazar district of Bangladesh, where actually refugees are living, is putting the area in ecologically fragile region on the brink of an environmental disaster. And this part of the country is at high risk of several hazards due to geographical location, geological features, rainfall pattern, and the context of climate change. And the high density of the population living in such proximity has a huge toll on the environment and biodiversity of the surrounding regions as well. And geographical changes in physical and human environments have occurred in the area due to the massive influx. So I just mentioned earlier that there are some literatures actually already developed or prepared by different corners. For example, United Nations High Commission for Refugees. Actually, one of their reports actually shows that a large number of makeshift camps are constructed, clearing forested lands and vegetation to inhabit most of the people during the influx of August 2017. For your information, right now, more than 1 million refugees are living in Cox's Bazar district, which is actually located in the southeast part of Bangladesh. The settlement process has actually caused great environmental damage or ecology in the regions of Ukia and Teknaf sub-districts of Cox's Bazar district. So, and it is an estimate that initial loss of forest area is 3,500 acres due to Rohingya influx in Cox's Bazar. So huge forested areas, as I think you understand, of the region have been cleared out to the just inhibit the refugees, and these refugees have settled in unstructured sites in more out of the way and remote hill areas, in addition to setting in congested existing camps. A significant number of researchers, including our papers, have observed that with widespread ecological and environmental damage due to influx. So these people, refugee peoples, are also encroaching to the nearby forest for collecting fuelwood for their everyday life and for other necessities. So the vanishing of the natural forest and naked interference of the people on other natural resources create social clash between the Bangladeshi nationals and Rohingya refugee people. For your understanding, I just want to mention that right now, more than 1 million refugees are living in that corner of Bangladesh, southeast corner of Bangladesh. On the other hand, more than 5 lakh, 500,000 people are living in local people are living in that place. So in some newspaper, just they are publishing news right there, some collisions or some clash between the two parties, refugees and local people, due to use of extra use of or excessive use of natural resources. So there are some technical groups reports that a daily requirement of fuel for Rohingya refugees is approximately 7.
Alakpal sir, check your internet connection.
Sir, voice is not audible. Paul sir.
Alakpal sir, check your internet connection.
Participants and attendees, sorry for delay because of technical issue.
Hello. Hello. Dear all participants, please wait.
Vandkar sir, please take a charge. Okay.
Okay, sir. So in the upcoming session, in the third session and fourth session, we have different resource sources, different resource persons. That is Professor S.D. Shinde sir, Board of Studies in Geography and Geology, and here Department of Geography, Shivaji
Sir, wait,
University of
5 minutes,
India.
wait, sir. Sir, wait 5 minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Just I'm giving information about the next resource person, sir. In the plenary session 4th, we have Dr. F.M. Nadab, sir. So we have to hear all these resource person. I request all the participants and attendees, please stay tuned with us. Very soon, we will be back. Because of network issue, it might happen.
Organizer, please start next session.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay. Okay, sir. Okay. Now turn to the. So we have chairperson of this session, Dr. Nitin Munde, sir, Department of Geography, SP College, Tilak Road. I request Dr. Nitin Munde, sir, to talk.
Sir, wait, I will call sir, join, sir. Wait.
Chairperson. Okay, sir.
I will call sir. We continue.
I don't know when the power cut off.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
I'm sorry.
Welcome back, sir. Welcome back.
So can you see my presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I just mentioned in my previous slides that how researchers studied on refugee people or refugee land in Bangladesh. So our study actually covered some clusters. In cluster one, there are more than 700,000 refugees live, and cluster 2, 10,000, cluster 3, about 21,000, and cluster 4, about 111,000. So why did we choose this area? Because these areas can be considered as one of the most vulnerable places for refugees. And so and we basically used satellite imageries and we used United States Geological Survey website, which is actually freely available. And two types of images are used in the study, Sentinel-2 and Landsat. And in addition to the satellite images, the present study has used land surface temperature data of NASA, and image processing and map preparation are done using both QGIS and ArcGIS and other types of data processing and plotting were done using R programming. So what are the results? Actually, we found multidimensional environmental change and impacts are observed in the study area due to the excessive use of natural resources by the refugees along with the local people. As I mentioned earlier that 1 million refugees are living there and 500,000 people are local people numbers are 500,000. So 1.5 million people actually are living in that place. So who is actually giving pressure on the carrying capacity of the natural environment of the area? So the significant visible changes include land use and land cover changes, vegetation loss, geomorphological changes due to hill cutting, settlement growth in unplanned ways, invisible and intangible changes in the environment are also countable in the area like ground level depletion, air and sound pollution, changes in soil fertility and moisture, loss of natural settings, etc. So both these tangible and intangible changes in the physical environment destroy the natural balance, which actually enhance the risk of different geo-environmental hazards occurrences. So these actually maps actually prepared by us, our team. So for cluster, you can see the map for cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, cluster 4. So for cluster 1, no significant changes observed between 2016 and 2017. As I mentioned earlier that a big number of refugees actually entered in Bangladesh, which is actually bordering to Myanmar after August 2017. So there's no changes of land use before 2017. So, but a drastic change occurred after 2017, after the influx. So, if you see the map of 2016, so you can find a lot of natural settings in 2017, but you can find a lot of changes in 2020. So for second cluster, the changes in land use and land cover are not remarkable, but some scattered built-up area is visible in the eastern part. So the same scenario is observed in cluster 3 regarding hill cutting and occupancy of open soil. The built-up area has increased largely in clusters 3 and 4 after 2017. So if I want to show a table, for example, for forest, the number of forest, forest number in terms of square kilometer, it is 27 square kilometer in 2000. But in 2020, the forest land use is only 9.28 square kilometer. So camp area, there was no camp in 2000, but 2020, the camp area is 2.89 square kilometer. So about non-forest, inland water, bare soil. So a lot of changes in that area due to influx. So vegetation loss was the first visible environmental impact of Rohingya influx in this area. A huge area of forest land was deforested by cutting trees to build makeshift settlements for the refugees. So fuel wood, fruits and vegetables, house building materials, including bamboo and cane, medicinal plants, cattle fodder are collected by the refugees from the nearby forest. Such extensive collection and use of natural resources may create actually ecological imbalance. You can see these images as well. So we prepared another map from satellite images for showing the vegetation loss. So the makeshift camps are not only destroying the trees and medicinal plants, but also other types of shrubs and herbs which provide shelter and foods for insects, birds, and microorganisms. So thus the vegetation loss occurring in the area is causing a great loss to the biodiversity as well. So cluster 1 experienced huge vegetation loss after the influx. Cluster 2, a moderate level of vegetation loss. But for clusters 3 and cluster 4, vegetation loss, there are some vegetation loss and gain. For your information, some NGOs are working for reforestation and afforestation program. So we found some vegetation gain in cluster 3 and cluster 4. Okay, so what about the hill cutting? Beginning of hill cutting usually initiates by cutting trees and shrubs of the hills, and then the shape of the hills are changed for making camps. Sometimes they make steps on the hill soils using spades to go up to the hills to make more houses to accommodate more people. I think if you look at the picture, so you can find the houses, how they are reshaping their houses from bottom to top of the hills. So this makes the sandy hill soils particles loose and erosion occurs. They are both during the rainy and dry season. So and because of the topsoil erosion degrades the soil quality and destroys the capacity of growing grass and plants. So plants can, plants cannot grow easily on the infertile soil caused by erosion and topsoil loss. And these actually eroded soil practices are carried away by rainwater to the nearby water bodies and damage the water quality and due to increasing the turbidity of water. So changes in land surface temperatures is another observation by our study. Was the result of vegetation loss and land use change in the area. Makeshift camps construction materials are, for your information, usually polythene, bamboo, and plastics, which absorb heat to a great extent for a longer period and release fast comparing to plants and soils. So it increased day temperature and decreased nighttime temperature significantly. So deforestation also brings changes in the microclimate of the area by changing in the heat absorbing and releasing capacity of the surface. So the living organisms, both flora and fauna of the area, may experience a different thermal environment which may affect their life cycle. So changes in LST are also associated with moisture holding capacity of air, and which actually influence the precipitation formation and quantity. So, okay, this figure actually depicts the changes in LST in different areas. And in cluster 1, sorry. In cluster 1, this is a clear trend of rising land surface temperature, which indicates a rise of 3 to 4 degrees Celsius during the study period. So this rising land surface temperature of the area is a matter of concern, considering the climate change impacts in Bangladesh, especially for its geographical location. So the formation of informal settlements on hill slopes with unplanned hill cutting increase the risk of hazardous event occurrence like landslides. There are a lot of landslides related news we actually found in daily newspaper, especially in the rainy season. So heavy rainfall and hill cutting cause massive soil erosion as well. So this is the conclusion. The result showed that the land use and land cover change has changed significantly. Massive deforestation has occurred, and land surface temperature has increased considerably. And further studies are recommended. The government of Bangladesh actually has been trying since the beginning of the problem to send back to the refugee people to their birthplace through diplomatic initiatives. involving India and China especially, and which this is the ultimate solution of the problem. So if the refugee people go back to their birthplace, we expect that the natural environment will come back again for the betterment for the betterment of Bangladesh. So some steps have been taken by the government with the help of international agencies and NGOs at the immediate measure to reduce the sufferings of the refugees, minimize the conflict with the local people, to control the environmental peoples. We, from our project, actually, we already published 3 papers, 2 book chapters in a book, The Rohingya Crisis, edited by Nasiruddin, and published from New Delhi, SAGE, New Delhi, and another from Environment Development Sustainability, published by Stranger. So, and another paper is going on. So, thanks to everybody. This from my side. So, and thank you, the organizers, for inviting me for giving the lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Alak Paul, sir, for thought-provoking speech. Thank you once again, sir. Now, I request Dr. Nitin Munde, sir, Department of Geography, SP College, Pune, to chair this session. I request Dr.
Thank you so much, sir. Good afternoon to all here. I am Dr. Nitin Munde, working as an assistant professor at SP College, Pune, Maharashtra. I feel immense pleasure to chairing this plenary session of one-day multidisciplinary online conference on ecology, economy, emerging technology, and people for sustainable livelihood in the SAARC countries, organized by Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya Khed, in collaborations with University of Swabi, Khyber, Pakhtunkhwa, and Maharashtra Bhugolshastra, Pune. So in this session, the Professor Alak Paul, sir, Department of Geography and Environmental Studies, University of Chittagong, Bangladesh, sir has delivered lecture on geo-environmental changes in Rohingya refugee neighborhoods in Bangladesh. Basically, sir has rightly focused and talked about very serious issue, because the more than 1.1 million Rohingya refugee in Bangladesh have conveyed a significant standing for wildlife and the forest cover. So, however, the prominent phenomena go through a drastic change over the last decades by various due to the various anthropogenic activities, that is the massive Rohingya refugee camps, settlements, deforestation, environmental degradation, wildlife losses, and other things. So, sir, the very eminent speaker here, because sir has getting more than 500 citation about for this particularly the research, and the sir has used the basically latest technology, like for example remote sensing and various open sources software sir has used for this study, like QGIS, for identification and preparations of various the environmental maps related to this study area. Sir has showing the very interesting maps like land use, land cover, and these maps reveals that the forest area drastically changed from 2002 to 2020, and so that's why I am very impressive for this lecture. And the sir has point out very the serious issues, environmental issues, like he has covered the land use, land cover, forest cover, temperature, and the other factors. So I would like to very thank you so much, sir, for giving such a nice and wonderful lecture here. I extend my heartiest thanks to the organizer. And in the end, thank you all for being with us today. Have a wonderful day here ahead. So thank you so much, the organizer, especially Mani sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Nitin Munde sir, for the concluding remark of this session. Now, for the next session, I would like to invite Dr. F.M. Nadab sir for this plenary session as a resource person of this session, Vice Principal, Professor, Department of Geography, DPM Sri Mallikarjun Sri Chetan Manju Desai College, Goa. I request Dr. F.M. Nadab sir as the chairperson of this session. As a research person of this session. Parishad, as a research person of this session.
I hope I'm audible. Good afternoon to all of you. I think my turn has started a little early because my schedule was supposed to be at 1:35, but because of some internal adjustment, so my schedule is now starting at 1 o'clock. So at the outset, I'm very happy to be part of this international conference. Many conferences have been organized by this particular body, and most of these conferences are highly meaningful ones. They are highly meaningful ones. So it's an honor for me and a pleasure also to be part of this particular wonderful conference that we are hosting here in association with a foreign university. Let me start my presentation. I hope it's visible to all of you. Can somebody let me know whether it's visible or not?
No, sir, not yet. It is not visible.
Okay, so yeah, it will take some time. Might take some time.
Sir, it is visible.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. So the topic that I'm going to discuss today is the disaster risk management, a need of the hour in the age of climate change. So today, all of us are experiencing the climate change. So we know what is happening right now in Maharashtra, what's happening in the northern India, and what's happening across the country and across the globe. Our climate is changing. It's changing so fast, so drastically, we cannot imagine. We have experienced in the past winters, but suddenly in last 2 to 3 days, what we observe is that the temperatures have fallen drastically. So it does not mean that now our temperatures are going to fall like that. Or suddenly, we are going to have a rise in the temperatures in next 1 or 2 days, because now the forecast is for next 48 hours. Similarly, there are so many things happening in the coastal areas, in the hinterland, in the Himalayas. So you name it, we have one or the other issues happening right now in our country. Now, these disasters are very common on the earth. Just give me 1 second, only 1 second.
Nadab sir.
Yes, sir.
Open your video.
One second. Hello. Yeah, the problem with the video is my network connectivity is very low. So
Okay,
I fear that because of the bandwidth, I might get lost. So I just don't want to take the risk of opening my video. So, disasters are very common on the Earth. So Earth is a 4,600 billion years old planet. And on this planet, disasters have been occurring right from day one. It will not be wrong to say that our Earth is born maybe because of a disaster. I mean, it will not be wrong to say that. So disasters are very, very common on the earth. So disasters were there on the earth when man was not there, and disasters are there when man is there. So it is immaterial whether man is present on the earth or not. The disasters will continue to happen on the earth. So the intensity of disaster may vary from disaster to disaster, but disasters are definitely going to be here. They were there, and they will continue to be here. A very important aspect of disasters is whenever disasters occur, they don't make any distinction between a poor man or a rich, educated, uneducated, literate, illiterate. So they don't make any distinction. So whenever disasters occur, they affect everybody. They affect our livelihood. They affect our 24/7 lifestyle. So therefore, this is something very important that all of us should remember, that there is no discrimination done by the disasters, because everybody is going to suffer. Now, disasters are characterized by the scope of crisis. Now, crisis is a departure from normal behavior or a destructive impact on human life, economy, and surroundings. So right now, when our environment, when our surroundings is behaving in a very normal way, so this is considered a normal act of the nature. When suddenly there is a departure in the normal behavior of our surroundings, so we consider that as the disaster, because disasters will always have the scope of emergency. They will always have scope of emergency, and they will have great impacts and destructive behaviors on the human life, economy, and the surrounding areas. Now, all of us know, and we cannot forget this, that disasters cannot be avoided. They cannot be avoided. As I said earlier, disasters have been occurring. They were occurring when human beings were not there. They were occurring, meaning they are occurring at present, and they will continue to occur. So they cannot be avoided. But what we can do is we can reduce the impact of these disasters. They cannot be eliminated. Earthquake is going to occur. Floods will come. Storms will come. Droughts will come. Everything will come. But we as human beings, with our planning and with our management skills, we can reduce the impact of these disasters. So very important, all of us know that they cannot be avoided, but their impact can be reduced. So we are now, as I said earlier, we are in the age of climate change, and there is a very strong relationship between climate change and the sustainable development, because in the last few hundred years, whatever development that we have done, is now being compromised with the disasters and the climate change, because there's a big risk in reducing the sustainable development, because whenever climate changes, whenever disasters occur, they have a greater impact on the increase in the poverty levels. So now recently, why recently? So right now we are in the pandemic, and this pandemic has created such a situation in our society. And because of this pandemic, our poverty levels have fallen below, and many millions and millions of people have gone below the poverty line. So this is how the disasters can neutralize the development that has taken place. So we have been struggling for the sustainable development. The governments across the world, the United Nations organization has been working day and night, planning to eradicate poverty, bring education to everybody, bring the basic amenities to all the citizens of the world. But when we have disasters, so whatever efforts that we make, so those efforts are reverted back and we go back into the negative development. The natural hazards destroy our lives and livelihoods and have long-term consequences of human and economic development. So they will not have short-term. They will have a very, very long-term effects on the human beings and the economic development. So we are aware about the observations made by IPCC, and IPCC has estimated that by 2100, the global average surface warming, that is a surface air temperature change, will increase between 1.1 degrees to 6.4 degrees centigrade, which is going to be enormous amount of rise in the surface temperature. Similarly, sea level will rise between 18 centimeters to 59 centimeters in next about 75 to 80 years. And our oceans will become more acidic. It is very likely that the hot extremes, hot waves and the heavy precipitation events will continue to become more frequent. So we know what is happening in the monsoons. Our precipitation has become very heavy. We are getting rains with very high intensity. The number of rainy days are reduced, but the amount of rain that falls in those reduced number of rainy days has enormously increased with its intensity. It is very likely that there will be more precipitation in the higher latitudes. And it is likely that there will be less precipitation in most subtropical lands, meaning the areas which normally receive more rains will continue to receive less rains, and the areas which are receiving less rains will continue to have more rainfall. It is likely that the tropical cyclones will become more intense. And we have been experiencing in India that even during winter season, our tropical cyclones have increased with their intensity, with larger peak and wind speeds and more heavy precipitation associated with the ongoing increases of tropical sea surface temperature. So all these things are happening in the oceans. Now the climate change will have a greater impact on water. The drought affected areas will likely become more widely distributed. Heavier precipitation events are very likely to increase in the frequency, leading to higher flood risk. By mid-century, water ability will likely to decrease in the mid-latitudes and in drier tropics and in other regions supplied by meltwater from the mountain ranges. So we are going to have great impact of climate change on the availability of water. Similarly, food security is also going to be a major problem because of the climatic changes at lower latitudes, especially in the seasonal dry and tropical regions. Increase in temperatures and frequency of droughts and floods are likely to affect the crop productions negatively. Already we have been experiencing a fall in the yields of many of the crops, but whereas due to relocation of rains in the mid latitudes, so there you may have better agricultural development, but in the tropical areas and in the subtropical areas, agriculture will get affected very badly. The yield is going to go down, and it will create food insecurity problem in all such areas. Similarly, industry settlement and society will also have major impact, because the most vulnerable industries and settlements and societies are generally those located in the coastal areas and river floodplains. All of us know that 60% of the world's population lives in the coastal areas. You name any big metropolitan cities, megalopolis, all are located in the coastal areas. So when climatic changes are going to become more pronounced and more intense. Our coastal areas will get affected, and directly or indirectly, 60% of the world's population will get affected because of this, and we will become the refugees. We will become the migrants in our own land. So this is the danger that all of us will have to face because of the climatic changes which are happening. Similarly, climate change will also have a greater impact on our health. The projected changes in climate are likely to alter the health status of the millions of people, including through increased deaths, disease, and injury due to heat waves, floods, storms, fires, and droughts. Increased malnutrition, diarrheal diseases, and the malaria in some areas will increase vulnerability to extreme public health, and development goals will be threatened by longer-term damage to health system from the disaster. So right now, all of us are working towards the Sustainable Development Goals. Our Sustainable Development Goals have got affected because of COVID-19, and with compounded problems created by the global warming and the climate change, our health parameters will further get affected in the years to come. When we are talking about disaster risk management, there are small few terms that we need to understand: hazard, vulnerability, and coping capacity. So once we understand these terms, we will be in a better way to prepare ourselves, get prepared ourselves to face the wrath of the global warming and the disasters those are taking place. Hazard is a dangerous phenomenon that may cause loss of life or injury, property, damage of livelihood and services, social, economic disruption, or environmental damage. So this is a hazard. Vulnerability is the characteristics and the circumstances of the community, system, or assets that make it susceptible to the damaging effects of the hazard. So hazard and vulnerability both are interconnected to one another. Now, coping capacity is a reference to the ability of the people. So whenever there are hazards, whenever there are disasters, whenever there are areas of high vulnerability, so the people will have the ability, they will have the ability of coping. So hence, coping capacity has a reference to the ability of the people, organization, systems, using their skills and resources to face and manage adverse conditions such as hazard, emergency, and disaster. So as I said already, that disasters are going to stay here. So therefore, what we need to do is increase our coping capacity. Then only we will be able to manage our disaster risk. Otherwise, we are going to have major problems in the time to come. Now, how do we differentiate between a disaster and a hazard? Now, hazards are natural. Hazards are natural. So now you can see here, there is one photograph in which I have shown a flood. There's another photograph where the community is there. So now this is a hazard and this is a community. When hazard and community to come together, it is called as a disaster. So any hazard cannot be called as a disaster, because in a disaster, there has to be involvement of the community. So when hazard and community come together, so what results is a disaster. So in the areas where human beings are not living, whatever is happening there is a hazard. But when same thing happens in an area where people are there, when communities are there, so the same hazard becomes a disaster. So I think this basic distinction we should be able to make. Let's take a small situation and try to understand. Now, this particular line represents the normal rainfall. Now, we are talking in terms of flood and drought. So, how do we make a distinction between this? So, this line represents the normal rainfall. When the normal rainfall occurs, so life is manageable. So, we manage everything. When rainfall slightly increases, it leads to what is called as disruption threshold. So it disturbs our lifestyle, but still we are able to manage. I mean, up till here we are able to manage, though there's a disruption. But once the rainfall increases from here to here, we reach a situation which is beyond manageable, where now we talk about the coping threshold. So coping thresholds are beyond manageable. Now, similarly, when rainfall decreases, which leads to later to a drought. So when rainfall decreases to this level, so we are able to manage that disruption. But when it reaches to this particular level, we are unable to manage. It is beyond our capacity. So this again results into coping threshold. So when we go beyond manageable limits, then there comes the disaster management or risk management. Now, hazard is the probability that a certain event will happen in a certain area within a certain period of time. So it will give us an idea when probably a hazard is going to occur. Whereas the vulnerability is the degree of loss. So whenever a disaster occurs, so what is going to be the degree of the vulnerability? So vulnerability is basically, it is the loss of a system due to the occurrence of a hazardous event. Then you have a risk, and risk is the probability that the hazard occurs and creates a loss. So it could be medium risk, it could be high risk, it could be low risk, it could be medium risk. So we need to understand the vulnerability and hazard in this particular perspective. Now, when disasters occur, maybe because of the changes in our climatic conditions, or maybe because of the human interference in its surrounding. So the resilience is what is very important when it comes to the disaster management. The resilience is the ability of the community to bounce back. So now the disaster has occurred. Now, disaster management has three components. One, before disaster; second, during disaster; and third, after or post disaster. So three aspects has disaster management. So before, during, and after. Before, we have planned. During, what are we going to do as per the plan? And after, so when the disaster subsides, so what is going to be our response? So in that, resilience plays a very important role, because it is the ability of the community to bounce back to a disaster or a hazard. Faster we bounce back to the normal system, life comes back on the track normally. If we take more time, then the sufferings of the people will continue to increase in the society and in the community. Let's look at this particular graph, and this graph is giving us an idea about the trends of the disasters occurred in last 100 years. If you observe this particular graph, you will come to know that in the first half of this particular century, that is from 1900 to 1950s, the number of disasters were very less. So somewhere in a decade between 1900 to 1901, so we had close to about 50 odd disasters in 10 years. And if you go to the next decade, so number of disasters are more or less the same. In the subsequent decades, you can find the number of disasters slightly increasing from 50 to 75, then 75. So here between 40 to 1949, so we had close to 100 disasters. And as time passes, and when we reach 70s and 79s, you have close to about 900 disasters occurring in a decade. And between 80 and 89, it's close to 1,900. Between 1990 to 99, close to 3,000 disasters, and 2000 and 2009. So we had about 4,500 disasters, and the just concluded decade, that is 2010 to 2019, so we had close to 5,000 disasters in 10 years' time, in one decade's time. So what we understand here is that initially the number of disasters occurred were very less. Now in last 50, 60 years, the number of disasters are on the rise. So maybe this is directly connected to the global warming and the climate change that is happening. So this is something very important that we should remember, that the number of occurrences of the disasters have increased. Here it's the same information, but then put it on the basis of the type of disaster. So a biological disaster, climatological disaster, geological disaster, hydrological, and the meteorological disaster. So when we segregate all the disasters into these categories, you can just have a look at these bars. And what we understand from these bars is that the more number of disasters are climatological, hydrological, and meteorological of all the disasters that have occurred in last 110 years. I said that the number of disasters have increased. If you look at this particular graph, so what we understand is that in the earlier part of this particular century, though the disasters were less, but the fatalities were more. You can look at those bars and look at the bars now. So though the frequency of disasters has increased from 50 disasters in a decade, we have come to 5,000 disasters in a decade, but the number of fatalities, which once upon a time were very, very high, have considerably come down. So that is because we are well prepared today. And during this particular time, we were not prepared. So therefore, the fatalities were more. And today, the fatalities are very less in number. So though there is a rise in number of disasters, but the deaths have come down. And in the earlier period, when disasters were less, the deaths were more in number. So this table will give us an idea about how many people died and because of which kind of disaster. So B is biological, C is climatological, G is geological, H is hydrological, and M is meteorological. So you can find that more number of people had died initially and the number has declined. It's the same table, the graph that I've shown you, it's the same table, it's just a repetition. Now, coming back to this particular graph, now this graph indicates that the number of injuries today are more, but the number of injuries during the beginning of the century was less. So deaths were more, injuries were less, meaning if something is going to happen, some disaster is going to happen, it is sure that people are going to die. So there'll be hardly few people who will have injuries. But today, the deaths have gone down to the greatest extent, but we have the prevalence of injuries. So with injuries, people can be treated and people can go back and do their normal jobs. So this is the advantage of the planning that we have today. The damage is also very high today. In the earlier part of the century, the economic losses, the economic damages were very less, maybe because it is connected to the level of development. So the level of development, if you talk about our own country, was very less prior to our independence. So after independence in last 17 years, we have made a lot of progress. So therefore, whenever disasters occur, they will have lot of economic losses and economic damages. So our damages are increasing. This table will give us idea about the economic damages by all. Yeah, this is only by the earthquake. So earthquake during this decade, of course, now here in the 2010, 2012, you can find the economic losses occurred by the earthquakes was close to $250 billion. But now there is a considerable decline in the damages, overall damages, economic damages caused by the earthquake. But the bards, I think, will tell us the story about what is happening. Now, this is a graph which is telling us about the extreme temperatures and the economic damages incurred by different countries of the world. So in the 2000, close to 2007, 6-7, so we had damages worth $25 billion. But now slightly there is a decline. These are the damages caused by the extreme weather conditions. Extreme weather conditions. So the extreme weather conditions accounts for about 100 to 120 billion dollars of economic damages across all the countries. Floods are causing more damage where you can find all those bars. The bars are all very tall. The skyscrapers will give us an idea how floods are having economic losses in all the countries to a tune of, at one particular time, $70 billion. This is landslides. So landslides are concentrated only in the different kind of terrain. So this is not universal everywhere, but the losses incurred are also running in billions of dollars. Volcanic activity also has economic damages. Wildfires. So recently we have been experiencing so many wildfires in Amazon and various countries. So they are causing, or they have caused maximum damage in 1920 to a tune of about $20 billion. Similarly, droughts, they have their own impact. They have economic losses. This I've already spoken. And this is the graph giving us an idea about all types of disasters in last 110 years. So today we are having close to $300 billion of economic losses because of all kinds of disasters, which includes floods, extreme weather, earthquake, drought, landslide, mass movement, volcanic activity, wildfires, etc., etc. So that is a great loss that the humanity is incurring in every year. So which is close to about $300 billion. Disaster management has got three objectives. One is to reduce or avoid the human, physical, and economic losses suffered by individuals, by the society, and by the country at large. So objective is to reduce or avoid economic losses. and also reduce the sufferings of the people. So when disasters occur, there are many sufferings. People undergo even depressions. They undergo psychological problems. Keep aside the physical losses. And the third objective of any disaster management is the speedy recovery, resilience, how fast we can bounce back to the normal situation. So with these three objectives, we always have our disaster management in place. Now, please remember that climate change is going to stay here. It is not going to go very soon. Hence, the answer to this problem is disaster risk management, which is also nothing but adaptability. So we have to adapt to the changes that are occurring around us. So if we don't adapt, then we will perish. So therefore, disaster risk management is the ultimate answer to all the problems that we are facing. So what we need to do, so disasters will occur. We have to have responses. We need to have rehabilitation and reconstruction, then prevention and mitigation measures, and our preparedness. So if we can follow this disaster risk management cycle, I think to a greater extent, we will be able to reduce the sufferings in the society. We will be able to protect the livelihood of the people, and we can, out of all the problems that we are facing, so we can make efforts to make our society little better than what it is today. So now what we need to do in this? So we have altogether about 5 phases in a disaster: prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, rehabilitation. So when it comes to earthquake, so what we need to do is we need to have seismic design in place, retrofitting vulnerability buildings, installation of seismic isolation, seismic response control systems. So in the flood affected areas, we need to construct dikes, build dams. There has to be afforestation. There has to be construction of flood control basins and the reservoir, storms, construction of tide walls, establishment of forests to protect against storm, landslides, construction of erosion control dams, construction of retaining walls. So this is going to be our first effort, first phase in the prevention. Preparedness, under that, we need to construct an operation of earthquake observatory system, meteorological observatory systems, and similar systems to be in place to manage our preparedness. Similarly, we need to prepare hazard maps. I think many of the areas have already prepared hazards, because today we are better equipped and we are better prepared to handle our disaster issues. We also need to have food and materials stockpiling, emergency drills. So we have disaster management plans in place, but no efforts are made for emergency drills. So we have seen societies, we have seen apartments where you have disaster management equipments in place, but nobody has done any kind of drill. And suddenly when a problem occurs, we go to use them and we discover that they are non-functional. So preparation of emergency kits is what we need to do in the preparedness. So our responses, we have to have rescue efforts, first aid treatments, the firefighting, the monitoring of secondary disasters, the construction of temporary housing. So when people are affected in the low-lying area, they need to be taken to the areas which are located in the higher altitudes, and all basic amenities we need to create. So this has to happen in advance, not that when disaster has taken place, because I have already said that any disaster management plan will have 3 components: before, during, and after. So we need to prepare our responses prior to the disasters occur. Then the rehabilitation and reconstruction, so where we need to bounce back with all our efforts at the fastest possible time. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share some of my views on disaster risk management, a need of the hour in the age of climate change. We are in a very, very risky time in the history of Earth, the day from which the humans have landed on the Earth. So therefore, we need to prepare ourselves and get better equipped with all the issues that the humanity is facing. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, Dr. F.M. Nadab, sir, for your valuable speech and informative talk for us and being with us for this session. Thank you, sir, once again. Now I request Dr. Kavita GN, Faculty, Center for Women Studies, Janabai Campus, Bangalore University, Bangalore, Karnataka, to chair this session. I request Dr. Kavita GN.
Good afternoon, everybody. And Dr. F.M. Nadab, sir, thank you so much for your wonderful and informative session on disaster risk management and like that environment, climate change, like that. So it is a very informative and it is lively. Thank you so much because I am attending another session. I think giving this opportunity to organizer and especially Santosh Mane, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Now
thank you,
sir.
Okay. So technical issue, Shinde sir join within 5 minutes. Wait, sir.
Okay.
Santosh Mane, sir.
Hello,
sir, shall I exit?
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Shall I exit, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Participants and attendees, we are waiting for Dr. S.D. Shinde, sir, Chairman, Board of Studies in Geography and Geology and Head, Department of Geography, Shivaji University, Kolhapur, India. In this last session, we have Dr. T.R. Magar, Chairperson of this session, Professor, Department of Geography, Uma Mahavidyalaya, Pandharpur, Maharashtra, India. Sorry for delay. Dr. S.D. Shinde, sir, is joining very shortly. This is our last plenary session. Within the 10 or 15 minutes, we are going to over this conference. Mane sir, try to connect SD Shinde, sir.
Wait, sir. 5 minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Development process without inclusion of rural India is unsustainable. Self-dependent and well-educated villages will make a developed India. These words of Gandhiji motivated Dr. Kumar Saptarshi, President of Bharatiya Samaj Vikas Sanshodhan Sanstha, to open a school in a small village, Khed, in Karzat Taluka of Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra.
1984 साली लोकनायक जयप्रकाश नारायण जे माझे गुरु आहेत त्यांच्या नावानं तिथे शाळा सुरू केली. त्याच्यानंतर ज्युनियर कॉलेज काढलं आणि 2001 सालापासून राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी सिनियर कॉलेज आर्ट्स कला महाविद्यालय याची स्थापना केली. ते विनाअनुदानित आहे. ग्रामीण भागात जन्म घेतला आहे म्हणून कोणी मागे पडू नये ही यामागची धारणा आहे. शिक्षणातून समाज परिवर्तन ही आमची थीम आहे आणि याच्यामधून ग्रामीण परिवर्तनाची एक दृष्टी
Hello, sir. Shinde sir joined.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Within 2 minutes, you announce.
Okay, sir.
Shinde sir.
Hello, Shinde sir.
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Now
Yes,
I
sir.
request Professor Dr. S.D. Shinde, Chairman Board of Studies in Geography and Geology, and State Department of Geography, Swabi University, Kolhapur, Maharashtra, India.
Echo
And the
is it?
resource person of this session.
Thank you, sir. Can I start?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much to Honorable Professor Praveen Saptarshi sir, Kumar Saptarshi sir, Jyotiram More and Santosh Mane sir for giving me this opportunity. I know there is a limited time, but I must congratulate especially Saptarshi sir and team for selecting most appropriate and contemporary topic about ecology, economy and emerging technology for people, sustainable livelihood like that. Because this is a subject, what happened, a recent development in frontier technologies, including artificial intelligence, robotics, biotechnology, and nanotechnology. They have shown tremendous potential for sustainable development or for sustaining a life of people. But they creating new digital divides. I have lot of data in this particular because they created this digital divides between the technology haves and have-nots. And I must quote, COVID-19 pandemic has further exposed this dichotomy because you know that in developing countries there is a shortage of infrastructure, internet, shortage of skills and other particular things. My main concern is about that sir rightly chosen this particular theme, the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, that are the SAARC members. And there is a number of agreements, a number of programs, especially United Nations Environmental Program. And they put forward that Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development in South Asia. And that require major shift toward the sustainable consumption and production, sustainability of management of natural resources. And Saptarshi sir always emphasize on that unequal distribution of resources. Nearly 15% of population, they enjoying 85% of world resources, and remaining 15% resources by this particular 85% of population. But my concern is that there should be smart policies and that increase investment in the protection of this biodiversity, ecosystem, then forest, energy efficiency. A lot of things are there. But if you see the data regarding the smartphones, regarding the vaccine and all that particular, nearly 1.6 billion people live in the region, means in these SAARC countries, and fast growing from a rural to a predominantly urban society, because urban change and urban population is increasing in these particular countries. Then another important thing is that
large concentration of population are living with deteriorating air quality, not only from Delhi, Mumbai, or Bangladesh, Dhaka, and other particular thing. Because when we think about sustainable living or livelihood for people, but they are living in deteriorating air quality and declining infrastructure, particularly that concentration and exceptionally high and regularly exceed World Health Organization report is there. And then nearly 700 million people in 8 countries, and you must know that countries like Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, even India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and lack of access to basic sanitation. There is a data. Yes.
Open your video, sir. Open your video, Shinde sir.
Okay. So if you see the data from these particular SAARC countries about air quality, about hunger index, about basic sanitation, and about this particular thing, then sustainable livelihood or thinking about sustainable, because we have to do lot of efforts in this particular this one. And my prime concern is about the challenges. I know there are several challenges rightly emphasized by Professor Nadab, like climate change is a biggest threat to sustainability, then this technological. But my concern is about challenges for these particular developing countries, about this particular technology or new technology, that the income poverty. आपण आज सुद्धा बघतोय बरेचशी मुलं शाळेपासून वंचित आहेत कारण त्यांच्या पालकांकडे मोबाईल फोन नाहीत, कोविडच्या एका उदाहरणाच्या याच्यानुसार. सो देर इज अ इन्कम पॉवर्टी. Many people in developing countries, especially in SAARC countries, cannot afford new goods or services, okay, particularly in rural areas. So you can have that challenge for income poverty. And because of this COVID-19 pandemic, that rift widen because of this particular their unemployment and other that particular. So in this case, barriers are not technological barriers, but economic and social barriers is there. Then another one is a new digital divide. Digital divide that as I say that the frontier technologies rely on steady, high speed, fixed internet. Then energy, load shedding आपण आहे, internet connections आहे, but almost half of the world's population remains offline, and many developing countries lack adequate digital infrastructure, and for most of their people, internet costs are prohibitive or very high cost. Then another important thing, that is a shortage of skills. In the developing countries, basic and standard skills are on an average 10 to 20% points lower than in developed countries. There is a data regarding this one. Even आपण शिक्षक म्हणून सुद्धा आता कोविडमुळे आपल्याला हे डिजिटल प्लॅटफॉर्म ऑनलाईन, तरीही अजून त्याची वेळ, पीपीटी शेअरिंग, खूप अशा गोष्टी आहेत. देर इज अ शॉर्टेज ऑफ स्किल्स, अँड दीज टेक्नॉलॉजी रिक्वायर ॲट लिस्ट लिटरसी अँड numeracy skills. Other technologies require digital skills, including the ability to understand digital media, to find information, and to use these tools to communicate with others. Then, of course, for this sustainable development, technology can help. Say, for example, GIS technology, because most of the geographers, they are concerned with this particular GIS technology. And that would reduce your efforts, time, cost. But again, that is at state level, at university level. That is not percolated to the household level compared to the China, Dubai, and other countries. So there are certain demographic changes also. Low income, very lower middle income, like that one. Then lower technological and innovation capabilities is there. Then slow diversification is there, weak financing mechanism is there, and of course intellectual property rights and technology transfer, that is the biggest issue that also create or biggest challenge for this particular what you say achieving sustainability. So I have a lot of data, but as all speakers, they rightly emphasize that economy, ecology, and this technology, they again creating imbalances. And as I say that these SAARC members country, and they have given, means there are certain programs, there are certain priorities to systematically addressing the pressing environmental challenges through enhancing collaboration and partnership and regional cooperation towards conservation, protection, and management of our environment. But that reduced water supply threat to this particular achieving sustainability, then of course there is a vicious cycle, okay, a reciprocal relationship between reduced water supply that result poor management and climate change is a growing concern and will have major adverse effects on, of course, energy crisis, food production, and livelihood security for the majority of people who depend on agriculture for a living. And you know that in our country or even in all SAARC countries, majority of people, they are directly, indirectly depend on agriculture. So again, there is a problem for sustainable sustainability. And of course, the region is also prone to climate related disasters, maybe in the form of cyclones, floods, agriculture, this rainfall related. So there were 220 flood incidents from 2005 to recent this particular. And of course, there are several reports, and that report spells out number of cross-cutting policy options for these SAARC countries and towards green economy, which include like greater awareness about environmental solutions to development challenges, more participatory community management of natural resources. There are certain successful stories right from that Ralegan Siddhi and Hure Bazaar and other, but that is limited. Then of course, natural resources, sustainable and responsible business practices, and transfer of environmentally sound technologies, or you can say clean technologies, green technologies, along with increased collaboration across borders on the environment. So there is a report about this South Asia outlook and here. So you can understand, means if technology is good, that is helping for achieving sustainability, but again, this particular technology create another problems. And my recommendations within 2-3 minutes, recommendations how we systematically tackle these particular issues. Like one important thing, provide visionary leadership for that science, technology, and other that integral component of the sustainable development. We are creating awareness about sustainable development goals and strategies by strengthening governments through the positioning the or that officer and separate office for this particular. Then institutionalizing regular reporting of that particular thing. Then policy across all line ministers. Okay, short-term, long-term policy should be there. Then another important recommendation related to this one, science, technology, and technology transfer, like development through high quality institutions and infrastructure by increasing the quality of physical infrastructure, like laboratories, innovation labs. There are certain schemes like lab to land, lab to field, then science park, then spaces, internet infrastructure, and long term this one, that educational technologies such as distance learning, medium term, online courses, and of course, aiming internationally accredited standards for research as a long term this particular, and ensuring institutional and regulatory compliances including corporate law, intellectual property, then providing high quality support services to entrepreneurs, because startup and new startup like that one. So we should think about these particular business planning, financial management, risk management, legal and marketing, these particular thing. And the last one about the commit to funding and incentiving this investment in science and technology, isn't it? Through this gross domestic product, like allocation of specific percentage of gross domestic product to education, to science, technology, education with targeted allocation for higher or vocational, that is there in new education policy, then research and development, and of course that funds for startups. So these are the common and certain recommendations. As I say that this technology can help in a positive way, and of course create another problems about achieving sustainability. We all are well aware about what is sustainability, how it achieved. So we should think from the viewpoint of environment, technology, from the viewpoint of their background, population, climate change, and how that technology is economical and affordable to the poor people of these particular SAARC countries. Again, I am thankful, and my concern is about how technology is effectively contributing to achieving sustainability, and at the same time, it again creates some sort of digital divides and other skill related and other technology related problems. So thank you one and all, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. S.D. Shinde, sir, for being with us. Really, it was a nice session and information delivered by you. So now, I request Dr. T.R. Magar, Professor, Department of Geography, Uma Mahavidyalaya, Pandharpur, Maharashtra, to chair this session. I request T.R. Magar, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, all of you. आवाज येतोय सर?
Yes, sir. आवाज येतोय. You are audible.
Okay. Good afternoon, all of you. I am Professor Dr. Tanaji Magar, Uma Mahavidyalaya, Pandharpur, Solapur Vidyapith, Maharashtra. Really, it's my pleasure to be part of this one-day multidisciplinary international conference on ecology, economy, emerging technology, and people for sustainable livelihood in SAARC countries, organized by Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, Khed, affiliated with Savitribai, Phule, Pune Vidyapith, Pune, in collaboration with University of Pakistan, Department of Computer Science, and Maharashtra Bhugolshastra Parishad. The research of this second plenary session, Professor Dr. S.D. Shinde, Chairman BOS in Geography and Ecology, and Head Department of Geography, Shivaji University, Kolhapur. The topic delivered by Dr. Shinde, emerging technology and people for sustainable livability and livelihood in SAARC countries. The topic selected is very useful for common people and important for all human beings. He expressed his view on the topic very simple language and to the point. As per the changing sustainable and of the world, all human should understand and accept this technology. If we human this technology, our life will become happy and enriched. For sustainable development, this technology is necessary as per the speech of Dr. S.D. Sinde. This technology is very useful in various fields like education, farming, industries, occupation, trade and transport, and small scale industries or business. In a lecture, biodiversity, climate change, resources, and Southeast countries, ecology, economy, technology, environment, water supply, food production, agriculture, and for example, Anna Hazare, Ralegan Sindhi, Hure Bazar, Popat Pawar, and science, technology and development, and sustainable development, and funding and management. Sinde sir, very good lecture. Really, I felt very delighted and lucky to be participated in this international conference with Pakistan, India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. Especially Professor Dr. Nitin Kamalkar, Vice Chancellor, Savitribai Phule, Pune Vidya University. Dr. Jyotiram More, Shah Nazir, Alak Paul, and Saptarshi sir, Kedar Rizal sir, all the participants, resource person, and Dr. Santosh Mane sir. I am very much thankful to the organizer to the conference who give me opportunity as a chairperson of the second session. I am also thankful to Vice Chancellor, principals, all experts and knowledgeable resource persons and chairpersons, Dr. Santosh Mane sir, and all participants. Thanks to all. Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. T.R. Magar, sir, being with us and concluding speech of this last session. Now we are at the end session, session of this conference. Before that, it is our duty to extend vote of thanks. So I request Professor Sandeep Kale sir for the vote of thanks. Professor Sandeep Kale sir. Kale sir, you are not audible.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Good afternoon, one and all. I deem it a great honor and a privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion on behalf of Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, Khed. I am thankful to Honorable President of Indian Institute for Social Development and Research, Dr. Kumar Saptarshi, for his inaugural speech and encourage us. I extend my vote of thanks keynote speaker I extend my vote of thanks keynote speaker, Dr. Lal Marvin Dharmasri, Kelania, Sri Lanka, for his keynote address. Thank you so much, sir. Then I am thankful to our research person, Dr. Suhan Nazir sir, University of Swabi, Pakistan, for his informative talk. Thank you very much, sir. Then I am thankful to Dr. Praveen Saptarshi, visiting professor, Salisbury University, USA, for his inspirational speech. Thank you so much, sir. Then I am thankful Dr. V.S. Salunke, KJ Somaya College, Kopargaon. Thank you so much, sir. Next, I am thankful to Dr. Jyotiram More, sir, Secretary, Maharashtra Bhugolshastra Parishad, for his welcome speech. Thank you very much, sir. Then I am thankful to Dr. Kedar Dejal, sir, Tribhuvan University, Kathmandu, Nepal, for his valuable speech. Thank you very much, sir. Then I am thankful to Dr. Maya Unde, Ahmednagar College. Then I am thankful Dr. Alok Paul, sir, University of Chitgaon, Bangladesh. Thank you very much, Paul, sir. Then I am thankful Dr. S.A. Rajguru, sir, SSK, Arts and Commerce College, Solapur, for his valuable speech. Thank you very much, sir. Next, I am thankful Dr. F.M. Nadab, sir, Vice Principal, Sri Chetan Manju Desai College, Goa. Thank you very much, Nadab, sir. Then I am thankful Dr. Kavita G.N. Madam, Faculty, Center of Women Studies, Bangalore University. Thank you very much, ma'am. Then I also thankful Dr. Munde Nidhi, sir, SP College, Pune. Thank you very much, Munde, sir. Then I also thankful Dr. E.S.D. Shinde, sir, Chairman, Board of Studies in Geography and Geology, and Head, Department of Geography, University of Kolhapur. Thank you very much, sir. Then I also thankful Dr. T.R. Magar, sir, Uma Mahavidyalaya, Pandharpur. Thank you very much, Magar, sir. Then I thankful Dr. Santosh Mane, sir, Panjia Geographical Association of India, for the technical support. Thank you very much, Mane, sir. Then I also thankful our principal, our college principal, Dr. Dharmendra Salve, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Then I thankful Professor S.S. Vankar, IQAC coordinator, Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi Mahavidyalaya, Khed. Thank you very much, sir. I am thankful to all professors, resource persons, research students, participants, and media persons to join the memorable webinar. Thank you so much once again. Then Vankar, sir, please take the charge.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Sandeep Kale, sir. Before concluding the conference, I request Mane, sir, to play the national anthem.
शुभ आशीष
Thank you, Mane sir. With the
Mane sir,
permission of
thank you very much.
गुरु धन्यवाद, तुमचे आभार आहे आम्हाला संधी दिली कॉलेजवर कॉन्फरन्स घ्यायला.
फीडबॅकचं वगैरे काही घेतलं नाही का? फॉर्म वगैरे दिला की नाही?
हो, पाठवून दिला ग्रुपवर सर.
बर बर. आणि पेपर प्रेझेंटेशन वगैरे?
पेपर प्रेझेंटेशन आपण व्हिडिओ घेतले सर.
बर बर. ओके ओके ओके.
फीडबॅक पाठवला ग्रुपवर आणि ईमेलवरही पाठवलं सर.
बर. नाही, कारण मगाशी चॅट बॉक्स मध्ये होतं की फीडबॅकचं काही फॉर्म भरला जात नाही वगैरे.
टाकला सर, चॅट बॉक्सवर टाकला सर.
बर बर. ओके ओके ओके.
माने सर,
बोला.
माने सर,
हा.
मनपूर्वक धन्यवाद तुमचं. तुम्ही आम्हाला इंटरनॅशनल लेवलचं सेमिनार घेण्यासाठी खूप सहकार्य केलं, त्याबद्दल तुमचं मनपूर्वक आभार.
नाही, सगळ्यांनी सप्तरी सरांचा आभार माना. ही सगळी माणसं सप्तरी सरांची आहेत. आपण निमित्त आहोत.
अगदी बरोबर आहे, अगदी बरोबर आहे.
मनपूर्वक आभार.
मगर पण आपलंच आहे, हे पण हळूहळू मगर सुधारायचंय आपल्याला. एकदम कॉलेज भाषण करता.
येस सर.
संभाजी कसा तयार झाला आता?
संभाजी सर माझे विद्यार्थी आहेत.
हो का? संभाजी शिंदे. हा, पण संभाजी कसा तयार झाला? एकदम मस्त.
हो सर, तुमच्या सहकार्य हो निश्चितच.
चला ठीक आहे, आता जेवायची वेळ झाली. आपापल्या घरी जेवा.
With the permission of chairperson, I conclude this conference. Thank you all the participants and attendees stayed with us so long time. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
ओके सर, बाय. थँक्यू.
Salve, sir. Thank you.
ओके, धन्यवाद.
साळवे सर, नाईस प्रोग्राम झाला. साळवे सर.
हा, धन्यवाद सर, सर्वांचे मनपूर्वक आभार.
का प्रोग्राम सर.
माने सर, प्रणाम.
प्रणाम, धन्यवाद.